Dude, you felt it. You felt it.
And now you got to wait 2 weeks for the first ever home goal.
Now, time for Jon and Jim.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is hour one of Jon and Jim. We are with you for essentially eternity. We'll be with you for 4 hours, and then we have pregame coverage beginning at 7 p.m., and then we have Aztec basketball at 8 p.m., and then we have postgame coverage after 10 p.m., and by we, I mean me. But Jim will be with me for the first 4 hours of this voyage together. So this is where you want to be. We'll get you ready for San Diego State tonight. Mark Ziegler will join us coming up at 5:30.
I'm doing this on the air since we didn't talk before the show much.
No, we didn't talk at all.
I'm going to the game on Saturday night, so I need your help.
What do you mean you're going?
Me and Erin talked last night. She wants to go, so we're going.
Well, you don't need my help.
Yeah, I do.
You need to contact Richard Stern.
I need you to contact Richard Stern.
Why?
Because,
first of all, his name is not Stearns. It's Richard Stern.
Richard Stern.
Right.
I need you to contact Richard.
What do you want me to say? Can I get 2 tickets for Jim and his wife for senior day?
Yeah.
Do you have fingers?
No.
Do you know English? I can answer that for myself. Okay, I can send an email.
Okay.
So, I mean, I could text him. I could text him at the break. You want to go? You and Erin?
Yeah. She's never been, so we're going.
I just don't know if I'm comfortable with you guys going, depending on if they need to win this game.
Well, that's kind of too bad right now.
Because
Erin could go.
Erin could go. Yeah, I have no issues with Erin going. So wait, so you told Erin, hey, do you want to go Saturday? And she got all excited. So now you're like, we have to go because Erin's all into it.
Yeah. I'm excited too. So then I can get you off my back about, Jim's never been to an Aztec game before. Of course I've been to an Aztec game before.
Okay, so you want to go Saturday?
I want to go Saturday.
Okay. Remind me at the break.
I'm the guy that waits till the very last game to go.
Here, let me. Okay, Ticketmaster. Here, you want to go?
Here we go.
Okay, I'll hook you up. Ticketmaster.com. I got a 5%
not what I was
off
talking
coupon.
about, Jon.
Okay. Senior night Saturday. Seriously, remind me at the break, and I'll text Richard. Do you want me to text him on air?
No, you can do it during the break. It's fine.
Okay, we'll text him at the break.
Yeah.
I was surprised. Like you said, we didn't talk a lot before the show, and you were on one when I showed up outside the studio 30 seconds before the show. You were kind of on a tangent about the Padres spring. Now, they entered spring 3-7, right? Today. They entered today 3-7.
Yes.
They're going to lose in Mesa to the Cubs, barring what would be remembered as a great Cactus League comeback. They're losing 6-0 now. Bases loaded in the 6th.
Actually, it's 8-0.
Whatever. They're losing by a lot of runs. They're not winning in Mesa. Now, the game that's in Peoria is 1-1 in the 8th inning, so I don't know if they'll win, lose, or tie. These are ties in spring training. But you were kind of going down a path that, let's say they don't win these games. They're not winning in Mesa, and they may or may not win in Peoria. Do you have any concerns if they start 3-9?
I said this on the wrap-up show the other night. I really am trying to think of some type of take to have with this spring training for the Padres,
right,
for whatever they do. I truthfully have nothing. But I will say, if they did end this spring, let's just say 10-20.
10-20.
10-20.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to tell me that has zero to do with I'm trying.
I want you to go down this path.
No, I can't.
I want you to say, because I feel like you're actually being serious, but maybe you're not. Do you want to say, because I'm not going to tell you not to say what you're trying to say. Are you saying that if they go 10-20, that would be a disappointing spring and it would have any relevancy into the regular season? Is that what you'd like to say?
Well, when I do say those things, I start laughing hearing myself say them.
I can't do it. I mean, I'm not saying, listen, I'm sure there's probably examples of teams not having good springs and then not having good seasons. I'm sure there are. And I'm sure there's examples of teams having good springs and not having good seasons, or vice versa. But I can't go down the results path in spring training ever. I don't know why. I just am not going to allow myself to do it.
Yeah. I think it boils down to maybe the lack of depth with this organization. Right. If you have a bad spring, because most of the time these games, Manny's out after one at bat. Tatis is out after two at bats. You're seeing numbers 97 and 64 out there most of the time.
Yep.
So could I say that maybe the lack of depth in the organization is kind of rearing its little ugly head here in spring? If
I wouldn't say
if they have a bad spring.
I want you to say.
I don't know, dude.
No, I mean, I'm willing to say that, like, if we want to go down the path that we don't think the Padres have the necessary depth to win 93 games this year like they did last year, I'm happy to do that. I think that's a fair and reasonable take. If you say that guys like Connor Joe and Mike Rousseau and Jason Hayward is not going to equal up to Jurickson Profar and Kyle Higashioka, that's fair. And if you want to say that their bullpen isn't as good as it was last year, that's fine. You know, I'll have those conversations, right? Tanner Scott's not in their bullpen anymore. But them losing to the Cubs in Mesa, or even if they lose to the Giants at home, and even if they are 3-9, I just don't know if it has any matter at all. If it means anything at all. I just my hunch is it means absolutely nothing. Mm-hmm. Just like if they started 9-3. And I think people would be excited if they started 9-3.
Right.
And I would tamp down those expectations like it's spring training.
So when I tell you after today, they'll be tied for the worst record in Cactus League, and they will have scored the least amount of runs in Cactus League play.
I want to laugh just here.
I know, dude.
I don't care.
It's not after one game, though.
I mean, I'm happy to be critical if there's a reason to be critical. And I can do, if you want to go down that path with me.
I mean, John, they've lost 4 in a row, my guy.
And 7 of 8.
Yeah.
And 7 of 8. So, okay, you're saying that if they lose 2 games today, they're 3-9.
Correct.
And the White Sox are 2-8 heading into today. And the Guardians are 2-7. Mm-hmm. Where are the Dodgers? Okay, who just won a World? They're 6-6. This means nothing.
Padres have scored the least amount of runs in Cactus League play.
Did you see the Rockies record?
The Rockies are doing actually really well,
That's
John.
What I'm saying.
They're 8-3. They scored 71 runs in spring.
So do you think they're going to be really good in the regular season?
Look at the run differential for them. Plus 28. That's amazing.
They're trying to win games. The other teams are rolling over.
Well, they know they have to win a Cactus League title because they're not going to win the World Series.
It's true. So I don't know. I mean, here's what I'll talk about. I'll talk about Nick Pivetta.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I'll talk about Dylan Cease.
Yeah.
And I will talk about Manny Machado's back or Fernando Tatis Jr.'s health. Like that. That's all fair and reasonable. And if Pivetta's healthy and throwing well, that to me is the win. Mm-hmm. What was Pivetta's line today? I know he struck out the side in the first. 2
2/3, 4 strikeouts, 1 walk, no earned runs allowed.
That's the biggest.
4 runs too. Yeah.
That's the biggest story of the day. If they lose 6-0 and 6-1 or 8-0 and 8-1, that to me is going to be my takeaway. That Nick Pivetta in his first appearance in a Padres uniform was beyond effective.
I'm pretty sure Jackson Merrill had a triple in the game as well.
Okay.
Merrill this spring's hitting 385 with a OPS of 1154.
Yeah, see, I like those storylines. I do. I mean, because I do think there's something to be said for that. I think that's a positive.
Tirso Ornelas had another hit today.
Yes.
His average is at 471 in the spring with a 1453 OPS.
Yeah, those are all good. But anything else,
I know,
is probably going to, like, let's say they did, because I even started spring training by saying if they go winless, but everyone's healthy, I'd be like, I'm fine with it. Because you're not, like, there's no intent to win. Like, what do I mean by that? Robert Suarez pitches 3rd innings. So there's no intent to win.
No, I know. There's zero intent to win.
There's intent to get guys.
It's all about getting guys work and stretching out the starters. I get that. That's another reason why spring training is, look, it's fun to go to.
It is.
It's amazing to go to. I love going to spring training. Arizona, going for a weekend, going to the fields, like having beers, hot dogs. It's awesome.
I'm with you.
Weather,
love hot dogs.
Playing golf. Like, it's great. No, you
love
don't.
Beer.
No, you don't.
No, but I like going.
Yeah.
Truthfully.
Yeah. It's fun because you get it's like probably the closest you're going to get to these players all year long.
Absolutely. There's times you literally can walk right by them. I mean, you could stay around. You see them on a backfield or coming off a field. Absolutely.
Right. And it just continues to make spring, other than that, just so freaking pointless, man.
Now, I will say this because, okay, we're 3 weeks from Thursday. So we at least can start to see the finish line. Now, it's far off. 3 weeks from Thursday is still far off, but you can start to see the finish line. We're finally at the point, Jim, where what matters is Pivetta every 5th or 6th day and Darvish every 5th or 6th day, right? And Cease and so on, and King. Mm-hmm. So let's now see this staff get built up to where they're capable of going 5+ innings once the season starts. And that's exactly what you're seeing right now. That, to me, is the number one thing. More so than Manny Machado's back, as crazy as it sounds. He'll have tweaks and bumps and bruises. He always finds a way to be on field by and large. So a little back tweak we can live with Manny. What we can't live with is a little arm tweak from one of these starting pitchers,
Right.
So if you get me Pivetta, Cease, King, Darvish out of spring healthy, I'm now ready to go. And I don't know if they're going 93 games, and I don't know if they can replicate last year, but I'd feel relatively optimistic coming out of camp with that rotation in order healthy, that I feel like I got a shot, so to speak, to start the year.
It's kind of wild how Nick Pivetta, that signing, it does make you feel a lot differently about this club going into the season.
Certainly the rotation. Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely the rotation. Yeah. Maybe not the entire club.
No, I think it's fair.
The rotation 100%. I mean, seeing him today, knowing what he can bring to the table, high strikeout guy, he can give you a bunch of innings, like he's going to be reliable. And that's what you needed in this rotation. It's exactly what AJ Preller got. And thank God, I mean, no offense to Matt Waldron, but I'm sorry, Matt Waldron as your 4, that was going to be scary.
Yeah, I agree.
Randy Vasquez as your 4, that was going to be scary. Having Randy Vasquez, Matt Waldron, and or Stephen Kolek and Johnny Brito taking up 2 of the 5 spots in the rotation was a scary thing to think about.
Do we have sound from Nick Pivetta?
Oh, our boy Nicky P.
I don't know if this was in game. It must have been, because the game's not over. So he must have spoke in game. We don't have sound. We do have sound. Okay, we do have sound. This is Nick Pivetta in game.
Well,
I felt good.
What's he say?
I don't know what he says.
Well, it just says Nick Pivetta on his first outing.
That's correct. So it's not like him talking on the mound. It's after his outing.
Yeah. Of course. This is Nick Pivetta after going 2 2/3 innings.
First outing out, it's just nice to get out there. Everything feels good, feel healthy, feel strong. I think we just can kind of continue to build from here on out. Obviously, limit the walks better, and then just continue to hone the craft.
What did you work on? Because we haven't seen how you built up. I know you usually make like 5 starts, which you have time to do here. What did you work on in the backfields?
Just kind of my mechanics, just getting into kind of my feelings of, my regular feelings of how I want to pitch, execute my pitches, just getting my feet underneath me, feeling what the ball feels like in my hand, and just going out and doing what I've always done, just execute pitches.
Very fastball heavy, it seemed like today, like 60%. Was that kind of the game plan going in?
I think it's a spring training game. I don't think there's very much a game plan ever going into it. I think it's just, executing your pitches, working on kind of the little things that you kind of are hoping to bring into the season, and just kind of honing in on those crafts.
Seen you've been working a lot, obviously, with Ruben during the bullpen sessions. What's kind of his impact been so far, at least early on in spring?
I mean, that's a loaded question.
Yeah.
I think that, right now it's just us getting to know each other, kind of him getting to know me, him bringing a couple things to the table as well mechanically, and, just trying to hone those in and bring those into the game, kind of what the organization, what Ruben and what his pitching org staff kind of has in store for me, what they think are better values, and just kind of working on those things.
All right, he's ready to go.
I mean, he even said, he's like, bro, it's spring.
It's spring training. That's what I'm saying.
I know.
Yeah.
I think what I'm doing is I am very impatient. You know that about me. I am very impatient. So for me to be watching these meaningless games, there's things in it that I absolutely am glued to, which was Nick Pivetta today. When Jackson Merrill's up, Tatis, man, like when the regulars are out there, I'm invested. But I'm just like, can I please talk about games that actually matter right now? Because right now these games they're losing, whatever, who cares? They're pointless. They're meaningless.
They're meaningless. We'll respond to like some of the comments in the chat, like everything is fine. Well, of course, because it's spring training, because it is.
The record is still 0-0.
Because because how can you be overly critical when nothing matters other than their health?
Do you guys know what the Eagles preseason record was last year? Anybody?
0-3.
I have no idea. I'm asking you.
Who cares?
That's what I mean.
Saquon Barkley didn't play one snap. I know that for the Eagles.
What was the Rams preseason record the year they won the Super Bowl?
New England has won multiple Super Bowls going 0-4. I know that happened. All right. On the other side, Greg Amsinger, MLB Network, had a really dumb prediction on the Padres that we'll share with you. You'll hear from Greg Amsinger on the other side. Plus, a huge night coming up for San Diego State. If you missed our conversation with Darren Smith on SDFC, you'll hear that coming up this hour as well. It's Jon and Jim. All right, Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. Aztecs tonight, they unveiled a matching campaign, and they being Mesa Foundation, because everyone's like, what's it going to take to keep this team together? Well, it's going to take support from the community. So Caroline Ripley, friend of the show, Mesa Foundation Director of Operations, she's going to swing by in studio and talk about this matching campaign coming up at 3 p.m. If you missed Darren Smith with us yesterday, he's called the first two matches for San Diego FC. We'll share that conversation with you coming up in about 10 minutes. Did you hear this Greg Amsinger take from MLB Network?
I did, and it made no sense.
No sense. It was like everything made sense until it didn't.
You're like, wait, what?
Let's hear this and react. So Greg Amsinger, he's been doing MLB Network for years at this point, and they're on like a spring tour, and he had a prediction for the Padres, and he had this to say.
I've got the Padres winning once again 93 games. But here's the caveat. They're going to be a playoff team, and yet they will still trade Dylan Cease at the deadline.
Wow. I don't see that.
Well, I do. That's why it's my prediction, Yonder.
That was with Yonder.
You're an idiot and you don't know baseball.
Like, okay, 93 wins. Okay, cool prediction. Yeah, I think the Padres are going to win 93 games. I think they're going to trade Manny Machado. No, they're not going to win 93 games and trade Dylan Cease. They won't. No. Now, they might win 93 games. And they might trade Dylan Cease, but not both.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
Yeah, they may trade Dylan Cease.
The only way they win 93 games is with Dylan Cease on this roster.
Yeah.
And by the way, if at the deadline they're contending team and in it, there's 0.0% chance that AJ Preller will do an about face and say, you know what? We're a really good team. I like what we're at. Let's trade Dylan Cease.
Yeah, he's 12-3 with a 2.4. So we thought we could get something for him. Well, no, the reason you are where you are is because he's 12-3 with a 2.4.
Right.
Like, isn't it amazing? Now you could argue the same thing with us. Like, it's amazing we can say when you have like a platform, but like that's MLB Network. I'm fine with him saying they're going to win 93 games. I think it's high, but you can absolutely say, hey, I believe in Mike Schilt. They've got a lot of pieces back. Yeah, they didn't do anything, but they could win 93 games. Okay. Or I think they're going to trade Dylan Cease because I don't think they're going to win 93 games. I think they're going to win 73 games. I think they trade Dylan Cease in season. Okay, I disagree, but interesting. But, they're going to win 93 games and trade Dylan Cease? There's no world where that exists. That's not how they operate, nor is it how baseball teams operate.
No, it's just not. There's no world where the team wins 93 games and Dylan Cease isn't on it this year.
The only world where that exists is if he were to be traded like now. It's still going to be hard to obviously win 93 games.
He gets traded now, you get pieces back, and guys like Pivetta and King and Darvish all have just like amazing seasons.
Yeah, definitely. At this point, it seems very unlikely that Dylan Cease is on his way out the door in March with the season starting in a couple of weeks. Now, they added him last March, but that was like to boost. I just don't see Dylan Cease at this point. He's not even making that much money this year. That's the other thing. Like you'd be prone to want to keep him because it's not like if you traded him, you would save $30 million.
Yeah, he's making what, 13 something,
which is more than King.
It is less than Darvish, and more than Pivetta, obviously.
Yeah. Yep.
I just look at it like you have a good thing right now. You have a top four in your rotation that you feel very confident about. The addition of Nick Pivetta kind of completed that and took away some really big question marks the back end of your rotation. There's really not many teams in baseball that have a 1 through 5 in your rotation that are all really good. You're going to have spots in there where it's shaky at times, and you're not going to have every single spot where you feel like super uber confident in that pitcher every fifth day. You're just not.
Right.
And if you have 4, many teams don't even have 4 reliable starters that you feel very confident with every time out there. And this team does with King and Cease and Darvish and now Pivetta. So to get rid of one of those pieces to save money, I think that would have already been done by now. And since it hasn't been done, I feel like it's not going to, unless this team does have a really bad first half.
Then you pivot.
You get to trade deadline, you pivot, you trade off pieces, and you try to rebuild.
I would react to this. I don't know if he's being serious or not. I could say his name, right? What was the name I got in trouble for?
What, Manny McNuggets? You can say that, John.
Yeah, what was the name I got in trouble for?
You got in trouble. Yeah.
Say what I got in trouble for.
I don't even remember, honestly.
Either do I. I can't say it, though. Manny McNuggets, like, I don't even think this is serious, but he says it's not about the record. It's about Bogarts doing nothing, Crony doing nothing, Tatis doing nothing. Manny has one big hit. Wow. All our superstars are back to being mid as mid can be. That has to be a joke, right?
Probably.
That can't actually be a thought of a human being. Can it? Like, in all seriousness, like Manny has one hit?
No.
In like 2 at-bats? And Tatis hasn't done anything? Didn't he have the flu until like a day ago?
Right.
He's played in 2 games, two plate appearances.
He's probably hanging out with also Bad Bunny, getting ready to collab with
a new
him.
deal or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't even, like, it would be such fake outrage. I hate that. Like, I'm not going to go, Tatis has to do better than go 0 for 3 in his first 3 plate appearances. I mean, give me a break. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah. No, again, I really don't care about the spring record as long as everyone's healthy. That's all that matters to me. But I mean, if they did finish spring, say 10-20, whatever, how many games they play, then there are going to be fans out there legitimately like, what is going on with this team? And then you have to realize, oh yeah, the games don't matter. Now, if they start the regular season 10-20,
oh, that's a huge problem.
Then if they start the season 3-9,
I'll take 10-20 if they start 1-0. Over 20-10 if they start 0-1. Simple as that.
Yeah.
All right. If you missed Darren Smith, who was on the call for SDFC on Saturday night, we'll share that conversation with you on the other side. Caroline Ripley from Mesa will join us in studio at 3 p.m. We'll talk about a matching campaign to support San Diego State men's basketball. Stay with us on Jon and Jim.
This update is brought to you by the West Automotive Group. We'll start with the Aztecs. Tonight, they take on Las Vegas. UNLV, their final true road test of the year. 8 p.m. tip time, 7 p.m. pregame. Listen right here on San Diego Sports 760. NBA news of the day. It's gone from bad to worse for the Mavericks. Kyrie Irving tore his ACL last night. He is out for the remainder of the season. And Shams is reporting that the team will likely shut down Anthony Davis as well. Padres split squad action today. Nick Pivetta made his spring debut against the Giants, going 2 2/3 innings, allowing no runs and striking out 4. And in the other split squad game against the Cubs, Matt Waldron gave up 4 runs in 2 2/3 innings. If you're experiencing transmission issues, contact West Automotive Group to get your car back in tip-top shape. Repairs, maintenance, oil changes, and more done by ASE certified technicians. Find the location closest to you and book today at westautomotivegroup.com.
All right, so we had Darren Smith with us yesterday. Darren, back here, San Diego Sports 760. He's been calling San Diego FC matches. And if you missed the conversation, we started by really just congratulating him on the call. I mean, working with Adrian Garcia Marquez, if you haven't listened, you need to be. It's been sounding really, really good. And this was our conversation with Darren Smith about the call and about SDFC.
Well, thank you for saying that. You're too kind. I would say the Jon and Jim show and the chemistry that you guys have, it's a huge inspiration for Adrian and myself. We aspire to have that kind of connection and the kind of repartee and banter that you guys have each and every afternoon for 4 hours a day. Now, I mean, it's been great. Adrian he is such a pro. He's so good at what he does. Here's a guy who works with a million different partners. He does so many different sports, right? As you guys found out, this is a guy that literally just a couple of months ago was doing the Super Bowl. Not even a couple of weeks ago was doing the Super Bowl. He's done the Super Bowl. He's done the World Series. He's done the Olympics. There really isn't much this guy hasn't done in his career. And he gets to work with some of the best pros in the business. And then all of a sudden into the booth comes some schmuck like me who hasn't been in the broadcast booth since college. And he's really made life easy. So I've really, really enjoyed working with Adrian. You never quite know. I knew him. I didn't know him personally. I knew of him, more of his career. But he's really made life very, very easy for me. He's a great guy to work with. And hopefully it just gets better each and every week. So thank you very much for saying that. And thank you for a very tidy Aztec post-game show on Saturday night.
I needed to make sure to get it to you guys by 7:40. And by the way, your relationship with Adrian is like the opposite of our relationship, me and Jim, because we literally hate each other. I do want to kill Jim half the time. Yes. And I don't feel like in listening to you two, you have any desire to put your hands around each other's necks.
Yeah, I don't think Jon is sitting there and be like, man, Jim makes it real easy for me on the broadcast every single day. So, of anybody in this town, you have been waiting for this for a long time. You have been a proponent of Major League Soccer in this town forever. And so for you being there at the first ever home match for MLS for San Diego FC, obviously it was special, but just seeing the crowd and it coming to life, what was your just thoughts on everything you saw that wasn't on the field?
Yeah, I mean, and it wasn't even just on match day. I think even the day before I went into the team store in Mission Valley and being in the position that I'm in where I have a little bit of free time,
Yeah.
I wandered into the team store at 1:00 on Friday afternoon, and I figured that was a pretty safe time to kind of get in and kind of get out. And was looking to buy something for myself, buy something for my wife. And I was blown away how many people were at the team store at 1:00 on Friday afternoon. And I had a friend who went in on Saturday and was like, yo, this place is packed, So the excitement, and some of it obviously is just, hey, it's the first ever MLS match in San Diego history. Some of it, I think, was boosted by the fact they went up the road and won in Carson as they did, winning 2-0 against 2-0 against the defending champs. So, it was like rocket fuel for a city and a county that was really excited to have Major League Soccer here for the first time. But driving in on Saturday, so many times I've been on that 15 freeway or I've been on that 8, you're within sight of the stadium and you can already see people that are there, right? Like, whether it's been pro football or Aztec football or MLS in this case, or back in the day with Padres, there's just like that, people are already there. People have planned their whole day around this. And then I get into the stadium and see how many people are inside of Snapdragon Stadium with like 40, 50 minutes to go. Jim, you and I talked a little bit about that, watching the supporters march in, like the whole event, there was just like, it just had this event status. There was like a true sense of occasion in San Diego that wasn't just limited to soccer fans. I just think, everybody was really into the spirit of what it was that happened on Saturday night. Whether you've been waiting for 10 years or 20 years, or whether you're relatively new to it, you just got into it in the last couple of weeks.
I think it's been super cool. Again, I think for me and Jim specifically, what I like about it is like there's not a 30-year history. So like everyone is like it's game one.
Yeah.
So whether you might not be a diehard soccer fan, but then again, you haven't missed anything because you haven't missed San Diego on the field here in Major League Soccer. Darren Smith with us right now on Jon and Jim. So here's my question: we had the MLS play-by-play guy Jake Zivin on earlier. What happens without Chucky Lozano? Because you watch him for the first couple of matches, this guy's unbelievable. He's dynamic. And with an expansion team, obviously they don't have the same depth as some of these other franchises in the league. So is this the type of thing that like it can't be easily replaceable, right? Because it's Chucky Lozano. So what happens now?
Well, you caught a glimpse of it, I think, after he came out of the match on Saturday night. St. Louis is a defensive-minded team. They have a coach who's a former defensive player. And, their mindset is, we are going to defend. We are going to keep the opposition out of goal. And when Lozano came out of the match, you can see in real time the way that they just started shifting defensively over towards week one hero Anders Dreyer, right? They started putting extra coverage over towards him. And essentially, the message seemed to be, well, we know that this guy can score goals, but we're not so sure about any of these other cats over here. So, who is it amongst the other players without Chucky Lozano that's going to be able to put the ball in the net? Chucky's going to get his goals when he's healthy in Major League Soccer. There's no doubt about that. Anders Dreyer was probably a little bit of a surprise in week one because he wasn't a very familiar name, even though he was a designated player. So, I think it's going to be up to other guys to step into this role here. If Chucky's out for a short amount of time or if he's out for, a bit longer, it seemed to me like the St. Louis coach was saying, I don't know anything about these other guys and their ability to beat us in an MLS game. So I'm going to just challenge them to do so. And I'm going to take Dreyer out of it because Chucky's out. So, I think reinforcements probably have to come here over the next couple of weeks. The window's still open until April 23rd. But, it's probably going to have to come from somebody like Luca De La Torre or Marcus Ingvartson. So, you brought these guys in here for reasons. And, maybe it'll take a little time for some of them to adjust to Major League Soccer. I mean, we're only 2 matches into it, right? Mm-hmm. But, I think you're going to have to find a little bit more pop and a little bit, more offense from some of the guys that are on the squad.
For me, being there, I just was like, okay, this is great, blown away by all the supporters groups and the chanting for the entire match. But then you get to the end of the match, I had no clue what was going on. I just didn't know. And talking to people, I had to talk to multiple people, including you, like what's happening here. So for people out there that might not understand, I guess, the history behind this chant that was at the end of the match, I guess, could you explain that for people and why this is, a big deal and why San Diego Football Club is treating it as such?
Yeah, I mean, it's a long conversation,
Mm-hmm.
Talking about the history of that word in this sport. And I think the way the club has gone about it is exactly the way the club has to go about it, which is to say we have zero tolerance for this. Mm-hmm. And we are strong and clear in our messaging that this is not welcome in our building and this is not welcome at any other match in the future. And if you think that this is part of the culture of the sport, please don't come anymore. Right? It's a pretty bold step to take for an expansion club, but the history of the word in the sport has been around and it's been debated, and it, crazily enough, still is debated up into this day. And LAFC had to go through something like this. Tom Penn was part of LAFC back then, so he's got some experience in what to do when the situation pops up. LA Galaxy had a situation like this. It's unfortunate, and like, there is room for nuance in that. People, I think sometimes don't truly understand the meaning of the word. They don't understand, or maybe they even disagree, because they don't, they're not homophobic people and they don't view it as a homophobic word, but, it is a homophobic word, even if it's not the intent. And I realize this sounds like double talk here, and it's kind of crazy. Like I said, it's not an easy conversation, but, it's just a word that does have different definitions, but one of those definitions is clearly homophobic, mm-hmm. which is why it just has to be taken out of the game. I've been going to to games in Tijuana for a long time, and that it's more popular there and has been more accepted in years past. And I didn't think much of it until I learned about it. So I don't I think it's just it's oftentimes like an evolutionary thing where people need to evolve on this word and understand why it is offensive, even if they're choosing an alternate definition for what the word actually means. So I hope that makes sense, but people need to understand why it's offensive, because a lot of people just still don't consider it to be. And I just don't think everybody that says it at a game, I read a story earlier today where somebody sort of put it in the same category as doing the waves, where like the crowd is into it and you're like, hey, I've had a couple of beers, I feel loose. But we've gotten to the point now where bottom line is we can't have it. The majority has decided that word should be excluded from the sport and from the game. So, let's try to make that happen in the future.
I like that explanation. Darren Smith with us right now. Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. All right, I have to switch gears to the Padres for a moment, because I feel like me and Jim have switched sides here, where Jim would always be all in on Manny criticism, and I'd be like, listen, take a step. I don't know what it is, Darren. I'm just like,
it's spring training. That's what it is.
I'm over everything, and it's only like March 2nd or March 3rd.
So boring.
But like Manny, some of the comments like we've got unfinished business, or it's great to be in a division with the world champs because then you can take down a team in your division. I'm like, well, you just had that opportunity, and now we got to go through the same song and dance for the next year. Like, I don't know. Is the criticism of Manny like? Is it too hard to be critical of him to start a year when nothing is really? It's just I have such a sour taste from the way last year ended that I just don't have time for the song and the dance, I guess.
Yeah, I don't remember where I heard it, but I heard a smart person once upon a time say that heavy is the head that wears the crown.
Oh yes.
And that's Manny. Like Manny's, he's the highest paid player on the team, and a lot of people refer to him as the captain, and a lot of people credit Manny Machado or blame him for setting a tone, right, in the good way or in a bad way. So I'm with you. I mean, I just need to see it. I don't need to hear about it. It's one thing to say all this sort of stuff, and it's another thing to go out there on the field and do it. I don't tend to put a lot of stock into things that people say. Especially during spring training when everybody seems like they're so bored.
Right.
Like nobody even really, everybody's digging deep to try to find a storyline here. But yeah, like, okay, like we've heard a lot of stuff, like you had them dead to rights. Everybody kind of agrees the Padres let the Dodgers off the hook, right? And that seems to be the opinion. So, from that standpoint, I don't know that there's anything he can say, at this point that's going to make anybody feel better. As much as he's just going to have to go out there and do his thing when the lights turn on.
I know you've been probably dying to talk about it on the radio at some point, but your Johnnies are pretty good. And how much are you going to start a podcast soon with talking about just St. John's basketball after their eventual run to a national championship this year, or what?
Well, John can tell you. I keep texting him asking him why Joe Lunardi doesn't have him higher. I'm like, hey, when are you having a bracketologist on? Like it used to.
Tomorrow, probably.
Like what used to be my least favorite part of the Jon and Jim show is now like, hey,
mine too.
Can you slip in a question about what's going on with the Johnny? I mean, they haven't won an outright division title, an outright Big East title since 1986. That is crazy to me. Like I'm old and like I was even in high school like the last time that happened. So, I was in my 20s the last time they won a tournament game. It's been great to see. I've really enjoyed it. Patino is just such a, as I said when he got hired, if he couldn't do it, nobody was going to do it. If he couldn't turn this program back into the winner that it was when I was a kid, then maybe we should just forget about it. Maybe we should just scrap basketball altogether, even with our history, because if Patino can't do it, nobody's ever going to do it. So I'm really just enjoying it. I haven't watched enough to know, if they're like legitimately a national title contender. But, they're ranked where they're ranked, and I keep checking Joe Lunardi every day and seeing where they might be playing. So maybe I'll make a trip or maybe go back for the Big East tournament. I'm not quite sure, trying to figure that all out. But, man, it is just so much better than the alternative of just feeling like it is a total waste of time. Too many years where, like, I've just talked about it and said, like, it is a total waste of time, and it's been so much fun to watch them come together, and it's been so much fun to watch them play in front of great crowds again at Madison Square Garden.
And I mean, your sports fandom right now, Knicks are good, Johnnies are good, you're involved a lot with San Diego FC. Like sports teams for you are pretty good right now. So
absolutely, Padres were a couple of a couple innings away from maybe going to the World Series.
Not for Manny.
Yeah, if he actually did something in Game 5,
he didn't blow that save again.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun. I mean, it's certainly fun. I mean, but it is the old phrase, like it is the hope that kills you, right?
Yeah.
I mean, last year the letdown of the Padres is because so many of us, and I include myself in that mix. I wasn't on the air for it, but I said it clearly. Like I was in the camp that I thought they were going to the World Series. I'm hedging a little bit. I'm a little hesitant, a little guarded on the Johnnies and on the Knicks because they haven't really beaten good teams. But all of a sudden, like all these teams that I root for are suddenly good again. I don't really know what to do with myself.
Where you're going to be back in that world where it's St. John, San Diego State in the second round, which that happened, didn't it? Or was that a first round?
But now Derek can openly
that was an 8-9 game in 2015.
Amazing.
It was 8-9, and the winner went on to face Duke.
Duke, that's right.
And if he's listening, Steve Lavin suspended our best player before that game, and San Diego State really took it to them, and then they all got sick, and
that's right.
They lost to Duke.
Darren, we appreciate you, man. It's been fun to hear you. We'll hear you on Saturday night. Again, Real Salt Lake and San Diego FC on Jammin' 95.7. Pregame coverage will begin at 6, right? For 6:30?
Correct.
6 p.m.
Yes.
Darren,
yes. Jammin' 95.7. Good. That was good to know. Now I know where to go.
Jammin' 95.7 because the Aztecs senior night is Saturday at 7:30.
Yeah. They've been a lot of fun, too.
Yeah. Oh,
I've
yeah.
been stressed out about them.
I've been so stressed out.
Don't even get them started about Saturday night either.
I can't.
Yeah.
I can't. Well, I feel better about them now, but college basketball is stressful. They appreciate it, man. We'll do it again. We appreciate you hopping on, man. Great to hear your voice.
Thanks, man.
Great. Thank you, fellas. Appreciate it.
All right, we're going to have Darren every day. We're just going to play back that interview.
Every other segment.
Every single day. All right, Caroline Ripley from Mesa will join us at 3 p.m. We'll talk about San Diego State basketball with Caroline trying to keep this roster intact for 25-26. Also, on the other side, things might not be going well for the Dallas Mavericks. They may not be going well.
I don't know if the trade's working out.
I'm not sure if it's worked out or not. We'll discuss on the other side of Jon and Jim. right, Jon and Jim back with you. Caroline Ripley Mesa will join us coming up at 3 p.m. They've got this matching campaign going on right now. If you like San Diego State men's basketball the way they are, like hopefully trending for the NCAA tournament, and let's say you want those players to return, well, a big piece of it is name, image, and likeness. And we've talked about that before with Jeff Smith, and we've talked with Caroline about that before. She's going to join us coming up at 3 p.m. because they have a matching campaign going on right now to support Aztec men's basketball. All right, so you said earlier, and you weren't, I couldn't even have a real conversation with you. But you said, listen, if the Padres don't win these games today and they play 2, they would be 3-9. Well, good news. They tied one of the 2 games. They lost the other.
How is that possible?
It's like when the 2 teams score the same amount.
Oh.
Like in soccer.
I meant like in whatever. It's
the Cactus League. You want them to play 13 innings?
Now, what would you rather have, a tie or losing to the Cubs 16-1?
Was that the final?
It's not even final yet. It's still going pitching on. I don't know.
Me? Seriously, who is
you
pitching?
Must do better than that.
So, is it a position player in a Cactus League game?
Let me give you some of these names and tell me if you know them. All right.
Okay.
Burgert.
We've seen Burgert. He's appeared a couple of times this spring.
Gave up 5 hits in a run.
Okay.
Struck out 3 though in 2 innings. That's nice. Johnny Brito, we know him.
Yeah.
Didn't even finish the inning. Give up 2 earned runs.
Didn't finish the inning. Did the inning just end?
Or he never got an out.
Okay.
Sorry. He never got an out.
Okay.
Give up 2 earned runs. Jose.
That's the last name or the first name?
That's the last name.
Okay.
Bernard Jose. Have you heard of Bernard Jose?
No.
The great Bernard Jose gave up. He was not good for him. Gave up 2 runs in an inning. Do you know who Stephen Jones is?
No, I know who my son is, and his first name is Jones.
Well, Stephen Jones had an awful day. 2/3 of an innings. He gave up 6 runs, 4 of them earned, 5 hits, 1 strikeout.
Anyone else?
Do you know who Wisman is?
Yeah, Wisman.
Nick Wisman.
What'd he do?
He pitched 1/3 of an inning, gave up 2 hits and a run.
It's just one of those days. You're not going to win them all.
Yeah,
you're playing the Cubs. They're supposed to be good. You're in Mesa. You're on the road. Tough environment. I can't get it. So they've lost 5 consecutive games, and they have a tie.
So now
their winless streak is 6 consecutive games.
So are they 3-8-1 in the Cactus League?
Yeah, they're 3-8-1 in the Cactus League. You're all up in arms about it as if it matters.
Sheil was right.
Sell the team.
Sell the team.
Because they're 3-8-1 in the Cactus League.
3-8-1. This is unacceptable.
I'm not overly concerned. Now, here's one thing I was a little concerned with. So in this 1-1 tie that they had today in Peoria, dude.
1-1 tie.
So I'm watching on my phone, just like the score bug. It's 2nd and 3rd, 1 out. Yes. Bottom of the 9th inning.
Right.
So you're like, you're going to win this game, right? You're Peoria.
Not so fast.
Now I looked at who was batting. I'd never heard of him. It was like Jose. He was like playing in Mesa and in Peoria. Well, I guess they didn't score. And I think the game might have ended on an ABS call, the automatic balls and strike.
Oh, I love that.
Call. So I don't know if we have video of that. And even if we do, I don't really care to watch it.
Well, it's not been a great day for your San Diego Padres.
But it hasn't been a bad one. You know what I mean? Like it just doesn't matter.
If you're concerned about wins and losses in the Cactus League, you have had an awful spring so far. Awful.
Yeah. Again, like I said, they could go 10-20 in the Cactus League, but if they start 1-0,
that's great.
In the regular season, who cares about 10-20?
Now, if they start the season 3-8-1, which is impossible, but if somehow they did that in the big leagues, then we would have a big problem.
In 30 seconds, your thoughts on Kyrie Irving tearing his ACL, this on the heels of obviously the trade for Luka and AD now being ruled out for the year.
Hate it for Kyrie. Can't help but think this is, I don't want to say injuries karma, but when you think about it, as a franchise, this is kind of the basketball gods are telling you something here.
They're like, you shouldn't have done this.
Like, what were you thinking? You know, AD's now out for the season, most likely, according to Shams. He's going to be shut down probably. Kyrie's out for the rest of the year and majority of next season as well. You have a 35-year-old Klay Thompson out there, and you got a bunch of nothing else. This is the basketball gods telling Nico Harrison and the Mavericks, you made the dumbest trade in the history of sports, and now you're going to pay for it.
Can they redo it? Can they get him back?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, probably not. All right, Caroline Ripley from Mesa will join us on the other side. They have kicked off this matching campaign to support San Diego State's men's basketball team to try to keep this team intact for next season. So we'll learn more about that on the other side. Coming up later in the show, we'll get you ready for San Diego State with Mark Ziegler, who's in Vegas. And San Diego State, UNLV tonight at 8. Our pregame coverage begins at 7, but we'll kick off hour 2 of Jon and Jim with Caroline next. Stay with us.
All right, this update's brought to you by the San Diego Seals. We'll start with the Aztecs. They take on UNLV tonight in their final true road test of the year. Game starts at 8 p.m. 7 p.m. is when our pregame coverage starts right here on San Diego Sports 760. Padres split squad action today. Nick Pivetta made his spring debut against the Giants, going 2 2/3 innings, allowing no runs, striking out 4. And then the other game against the Cubs, Matt Waldron, in his start, gave up 4 runs in 2 2/3 innings. And NBA news of the day, Kyrie Irving tore his ACL last night for the Mavericks. He's going to be out the rest of the year. And Shams is also reporting the Mavs will likely shut down Anthony Davis for the rest of the season as well. Good job, Mavericks. Friday Night Lights, box lacrosse style. Friday, March 7th at 7:30 p.m. The Seals take on the Vancouver Warriors for Stick Up for a Cure night. Don't miss the action. Plus, the first 2,000 fans grab a Seals beach towel. Tickets at sealslax.com.
Previously on Jon and Jim.
Would you say from being there that like exceeded the hype, lived up to the hype? Like what was the part of it that you'll most remember?
I just wanted to see a goal because the crowd, the entire night
was just waiting to erupt.
Dude, you felt it. You felt it.
And now you got to wait 2 weeks for the first ever home goal.
Now, time for Jon and Jim.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? It's hour 2, Jon and Jim. We get kind of loud in here, don't we, Jim? Not to us.
What do you want us to do? Whisper?
Kind of. All right, so the Aztecs play tonight, right?
Yes.
And I'm already freaking out because March is here and there's 2 games remaining in the regular season. And San Diego State could not be better positioned considering everything, right? They're 20-7 overall, hoping to get back to the NCAA tournament for a 5th consecutive year. Now, the way college athletics works right now, and Dutch has been quoted with this, is you have to have one eye towards the future. And you need to be thinking about retaining your roster. And that's where collectives come into the conversation. So we've had, for example, Jeff Smith with us before, the president of the Mesa Foundation. I don't, Caroline, have you been with us before on Jon and Jim or not?
Hi. No,
How are you?
Not.
Okay,
Great,
so Caroline's never been with us before.
No.
Caroline's the director of operations for Mesa, and here's what they unveiled yesterday.
She's a very important person, guys.
She is a very important person in this whole, like, what we're talking about here with this collective, retaining this roster for next year. Like, if Aztec basketball matters to you, then the collective should as well. And Mesa unveiled yesterday this matching campaign where all donations are going to be matched up to $500,000. I just put a link in the YouTube chat. You can also just go to mesa-aztecs.org. So you can learn more right now, mesa-aztecs.org. So we'll get into my nerves for tonight because I feel like Caroline's a little bit like me because like all these games are nerve-wracking. But first of all, Caroline, thanks for joining us here today. And we'll get into this this matching campaign going on, but good to see you.
Thank you both for having me.
All right. So tell us for our listeners, like make this make sense because I try to do it sometimes. I think I'm able to do it to some extent, sometimes on the radio, maybe better on social media at times, but tell us about this matching campaign and what it means for San Diego State basketball.
Definitely. We're really excited to have launched our Aztecs Reloaded campaign yesterday. We're during the month of March, ending on March 31st. So don't take your time. Give now. All of your donations will be matched up to $500,000. We're really excited to be able to do another matching campaign. Many of our Aztecs remember last year we had a really successful one, and it's crucial to Aztec basketball's success to be competitive in the NIL landscape.
And, you know, reaching the goals and the numbers that you guys want to reach is like, you know, that's a very important thing that you have to do. Can you explain like why that is so important for the future, you know, of this team?
Definitely. Mesa's grown every year, and every year we continue to get more supporters. And this has been a huge success for us in previous years and continuing to raise dollars to support NIL for men's basketball and women's basketball. So really important for us to hit this goal for the men's team in order to retain our student athletes. As many of you know, we have a very young group of Aztecs, and we want them all to be coming back next year so we can continue to compete for Mountain West championships.
That's a perfect way to put it. Like at the end of the day, and Caroline Ripley's with us right now from Mesa. And again, if you want to learn more about this Aztecs Reloaded matching campaign where all of your donations are doubled, if you do it right now, you can go to mesa-aztecs.org. So in one day, already over $44,000 has been contributed to this campaign. So the Aztecs have terrific fans, obviously. So in one day, but to like put it in layman's terms, and not that we can speak specifically to players, but like if you like these players, whether it's, you know, a veteran player like Reese Waters, or
I like Reese Waters.
You like Reese Waters, or Miles Bird.
I like Miles Bird.
Third year here, or some of the younger players.
I also like Magoon Wath
and Miles
Pharaoh
Heidi
Compton
and Pharaoh. Yeah,
Taj Gorville.
It goes on and on and on. Like any player with eligibility, and you think about last offseason where San Diego State's been able to retain a lot of their players, but there's also been movement because that's where we are in college athletics. But that's what we're talking about, right? Like in order to keep some of these players that we've become accustomed to, that you wrap your arms around, that you watch on TV, that you see at Viejas Arena, That's what these donations are heading towards, right?
Absolutely. And thank you to all those who have already given to our campaign. We really appreciate your instant action. Look forward to having all of Aztec Nation join in. I think we have 12,414 seats in Viejas, so we need every one of us to be giving to Mesa and supporting this Aztecs Reloaded campaign.
So how can people get more information on possible ways to donate and the campaigns that your guys are running?
Absolutely. So follow us on social media at Mesa_Aztecs. We're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, and then of course on our website, mesa-aztecs.org. All the information's there, and all of our membership levels are there as well.
So what I think is really cool is that Mesa's done a really good job with the business community.
The local business community.
The local business community, absolutely. So, for example, there was an event at Blenders this past weekend. We're going to have Chase Fisher actually in studio with us to talk about this event.
My got lost in the mail. That's great.
No, you were invited.
Where was my invite?
We invited you in our head.
Oh, that's
you
okay.
have to go to a game before you get an official invite. So after Saturday, you'll get the invite to Blenders.
All the events will be done this year.
Jim, you're right. But whatever. But here's the thing, like Blenders has been a big supporter of Mesa, and other local businesses, and Caroline has more on that, have been big supporters. But like, what would you want the business community to know about how they could get involved with Mesa, like Blenders, like Novo Brazil and others?
Definitely. It's really important for our local community to get more involved with NIL and Aztec basketball. Blenders has led the way along with Novo Brazil, which we're hosting an event on Sunday. So if you haven't gotten your tickets, that information is also on our website under the events tab. We're hosting a send-off for the men's basketball team prior to the tournament with a food tasting. So we're really excited about that. And you'll have the opportunity to mingle with our student athletes and coaching staff. But it's the local businesses who have been able to really charge forward in this NIL landscape and continue to help our student athletes use their NIL and continue to gain traction with that. So it's hugely important. And thank you to Chase and Blenders for all they're doing. We're excited to be back on air with you guys on Thursday and releasing our state sunglasses. So more on that soon.
Have you seen those glasses, Jim?
No, I haven't.
I'm bringing you a
pair.
I
think you would look good in these sunglasses.
Bro, I look good in any sunglasses.
You kind of do look. You're kind of like a sunglass guy.
Yeah.
You have them right. You got Blenders, right?
No, not Blenders. Sorry, my Blenders are in the car. Actually,
you got us Blenders for your wedding.
I know I did.
And okay.
These are not Blenders, but I'm serious. My Blenders my Aztec Blenders are in my car right now. I was going to ask you, Caroline. When Mesa first started, right? The importance, and we've talked about it, local businesses, right? Like, how important was the messaging? And going forward, like, we have to make sure that as many local businesses are a part of this as possible.
Definitely. As Coach Dutcher says, this is your team. So it's really the buy-in of the San Diego community to be able to, connect with our student athletes, have them help promote your businesses and use their name, image, and likeness to just gain more traction in that community.
All right. So Caroline Ripley is with us again. If you want to support mesa-aztecs.org. And again, Aztec fans already in 24 hours have shown tremendous support with over $40,000 of donations. Every donation is matched. This is a way to hopefully keep this basketball team together for next year. In addition to that, though, Mesa supports community causes, right? Because we see these players out in the community. ALS Walk is one example of that. How important is it that this is more than just financial resources? Obviously, I mean, NIL and collectives obviously play a role financially for student athletes, but it's more than that, right? Because there's community initiatives that Mesa's been involved with over the years.
Definitely. That's my favorite part of Mesa and our ability to connect back with local organizations within San Diego and connect our student athletes back to the people who are cheering them on. We do so many different fun community activities, including youth camps and the ALS Walk, which is all near and dear to our heart, food bank, and different distributions with Feeding San Diego Food Bank. So it's been really awesome to see our student athletes flourish and continue to give back to the community while also being San Diego's team and, winning on the court, in the classroom, and in the community.
Do you get as nervous watching these games as this guy does? Because this guy,
I get nervous, yeah.
This guy can't be around anybody. And you know that. He has to be by himself, like in a corner watching the away games.
Things,
yeah, he gets
yell.
upset. Are you that type of fan too?
I have my nerves, but I'm very confident in our coaching staff and their ability to prepare our kids against the teams. I also, brought some Skittles in. I have my rally Skittles in case we need a little jump of sugar. But no, I'm very confident in this team. I'm excited for tonight. Crash the boards.
Look at that! Look at that answer! Look at that political answer right there. I'm very confident in our coaching staff.
I am.
I know you are. I know.
I get nervous.
You get nervous. We know.
Jim.
Okay.
I would get nervous playing like you. No, it's just how college basketball works.
I'm gonna have a Skittle.
Officiating, and there's so many factors. All right, here's the deal though. For our listeners, again, mesa-aztecs.org. I know a lot of our listeners are huge Aztec fans, but you can hear the Aztecs right here on San Diego Sports 760. You can hear Ted tonight. His final road call, by the way, as the voice of the Aztecs, is tonight, 8 p.m. pregame coverage at 7. But if San Diego State basketball means something to you, consider a donation, mesa-aztecs.org. Any size donation is appreciated. Shoot, if you do it right now, we'll give you a shout out on air after our next time out. But mesa-aztecs.org, mesa-aztecs.org. Okay, so you're not going to be in Vegas tonight, presumably, because the game's in 5 hours.
No, but I will be at Viejas Arena for our women's basketball team who tips off at 6:00 against Fresno State for senior night. So those who aren't in Vegas, come out to Viejas.
You could go to senior night for the women tonight and senior night for the men.
I could.
Do you want me to send an email?
It might be a little too late.
All right, you don't think Aaron can make it?
Actually, no. I have big plans tonight, John.
Which are?
I'm going out to dinner with my wife.
Where?
We are going to Catch.
Ooh,
oh yeah,
one.
Yeah.
There's multiple locations, right? Point Loma.
Yeah, so we're going to the Point Loma one.
It's a good spot
near the Brigantine, right? So it's right across the street from there.
Oh, must be nice.
Yeah, it is nice.
Caroline, thank you. Great to see you again. For Aztec fans, consider supporting this matching campaign. Again, all donations are matched at mesa-aztecs.org. That's mesa-aztecs.org. Caroline Ripley from Mesa. Caroline, thanks so much. And
you want a Skittle?
Do you want a Skittle? Yours?
What's your favorite Skittle color?
Red and green.
There you go.
I like red and black. All right. Speaking of red and black, we'll get into
color?
whatever. We'll get into tonight what it means. What's it mean for San Diego State? Mark Ziegler will join us coming up at 5:30. It's Jon and Jim. right, the Aztecs back tonight on the road in Vegas, taking on UNLV. Pre-game coverage at 7. Ted's got the tip just after 8. You're home to the Aztecs, San Diego Sports 760. Can I just read this? This is an aside, and it was from Jeff Passan, who I typically never reference on air, but I'm going to.
That is a long tweet.
So there's a college baseball game today where George Mason scored 23 runs in an inning without a home run or a triple.
Okay.
Can I read how they did it? The inning started with a ground out.
Okay, go on.
Walk, walk, single, single, hit by pitch, double, single, hit by pitch, fielder's choice, double, walk, hit by pitch, walk, walk, double, single, hit by pitch, double, pop out for an out, walk, double, single, walk, walk, single, fielder's choice for an out. That's a tough inning. Once you allow the 23rd run to cross the plate in the same inning, you just feel like it might not be your day. And this was George Mason against Holy Cross was the team that allowed 23 runs in the inning.
I sent you it was Oregon against who did I send you there tonight?
What was it?
It's college baseball score.
Oh, was it 30 runs in it?
35 to 1.
Yeah. And we're like, how did Columbia score? It was
Columbia.
Oregon, Columbia. Like, how did they score a run?
Yeah, how is that possible?
Well, we were talking about the Padres losing today 16-1 in Mesa.
And then tie in the other game.
But it could have been worse. It could have had that inning.
Yeah.
5 pitchers, 3 errors, no homers, no triples, 23 runs.
The Padres run differential in spring is awful.
It is. It hasn't been a great spring in terms of wins and losses. I will agree with you there.
So, okay.
You want to continue on this?
Is it fair to say that the team has no depth in the organization at this moment in time?
No depth in the no, I don't think based on spring training, because the whole point is to show off that you don't have depth. Well, right? The whole point is to play number 99 and 98.
I'm trying to find something.
In the split squad days.
I know. I'm trying to find
70
something.
guys.
I get it. It's a bunch of randos that nobody knows about. You'll never hear from ever again.
Right. I like that you're trying.
I'm trying. I'm going to try until the season starts to figure out a way to talk about spring training that actually matters. And at this point in time, anything that I have, I just can't. I just laugh. It doesn't stick.
I mean, I'm still waiting on something from AJ. Is that fair? I'm waiting on something over the next 23 days. That's when the season starts.
You're convinced that there will be something.
I'm not saying they're trading for, whom? I'm not saying they're trading for Soto.
Yeah.
Right? That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying I'm waiting for something because he's got a reputation that I feel like has to be upheld. Plus, to your point on depth, which I don't think we can talk about today in split squad day, but your point on depth, they probably could use more. So that's why I don't think everything is kosher, so to speak. Like, I still feel as if there's work to be done.
Yes.
Right. I'm not expecting to see straight from last year, but give me something.
Wouldn't it be awesome if one spring, it'll never happen, ever. But teams go out there from the first game, they're like, we're going to play all of our regulars all the time.
What, all spring?
All spring. And we're going to have all our pitchers go at least 5.
I mean, would it put them in a better position to win?
It doesn't matter.
That's the thing, because I just go back to what's been going on in the NFL, where you see teams now not play starters in preseason. Now, does that impact the product in the first week or two? Maybe it does. Maybe the teams don't look as good as they did previously because Matt Stafford doesn't play in preseason games or Patrick Mahomes doesn't play. But from the organizational perspective, I get it, because you can't have Saquon Barkley get hurt in preseason. You can't have Patrick Mahomes get hurt. And just like I would say, you can't have Michael King get hurt. The difference is Michael King's got to throw. You have to be built up. You can't ask him to do it all, in April. He's got to throw now to be ready to go.
And that is the only thing in spring that matters. And truthfully, the only reason why they have such a long spring training. It's not for the hitters. It's not for the coaches. It's not for the young guys. It's not for guys. It is for the pitchers. That's it. 100%. And that's what makes spring training feel like it's lasting forever, is because the only reason why they're out there is to get these pitchers lengthened out and to get them ready to go and built up to start the regular season. That's it. Manny Machado could have no at bats for the rest of spring and he'll be fine. You know?
Oh, I completely agree.
Like, he'll be fine. Jackson Merrill, even though he wants to play like every single day and play 9 innings, like he could have no more bats this spring. He'll be fine.
Yeah.
Tatis,
you're right.
fine.
Yep.
Right. But Nick Pivetta, Michael King, like they need to pitch. They need to get the innings in. They need to be built up.
That's why my takeaway today with the 16-1 loss and the 1-1 tie is Nick Pivetta. That's my only takeaway. Nick Pivetta, and you said Jackson Merrill tripled. That's great.
That's cute.
They've had some good productivity from some of these players, like a Merrill, like a Tirso or Nellis that you've talked about, and now Nick Pivetta in his Padres debut in spring goes 2 2/3 innings and strikes out 4. That to me is my takeaway today. Nothing else other than Nick Pivetta in a Padres uniform, hopefully a key piece for them in 2025 and potentially beyond as well.
Has this been one of the more boring spring trainings for the Padres in recent memory?
Me and you have covered a ton of this over the years. And this has been the most boring of them all. But is that necessarily a bad thing? The reason I don't like it this year is because the offseason was so boring. So you're coupling a slow offseason with what's happening in spring training.
Nick Pivetta.
If they had landed Roki, well, then I guess it's not a boring spring training.
Oh no, it would be Roki watch every single day. Bullpens, his backfield,
but is
outings,
he a bust
sim
already?
games.
I'm kidding.
Is he a bust?
Is he a bust already? He allowed that backfield home run.
Is he a bust, John? Honestly, I hope he's a bust. I really do, because then it will all the hard work that the Padres and AJ Preller put into Roki, then they can look and be like, oh, dodged a bullet.
Right.
But if all the hard work they put in turns out to be, what they all believed and warranted, and he turns into a star, then it's going to hurt even more.
I think with Roki, I'm going to reserve a lot of judgment. A little bit like Yamamoto, who was a more veteran pitcher who didn't really shine right away. And then by the end of the year, this guy's...
Dude got lit up in the first game against the Padres.
And then he's like winning World Series games.
He got stronger at the end of the season. He came back from injury and he only pitched 5 innings. He never went longer than that.
But those were some good outings.
They were very good.
And now the difference between Yamamoto and Sasaki is Yamamoto was more seasoned. So Sasaki might not, we said this all offseason, it might not be the perfect player for 2025 for anyone, but you're also thinking about 2026 and beyond with someone like Roki Sasaki. So I will honestly, we can laugh about it if his first 2 outings are, 5 runs allowed in 2 2/3 innings. He's a bust. But I mean, come on, he's 23 years of age. Right. It may take time.
It was always going to be the long game with him.
Yep.
With hopefully, if he was in a Padres uniform, spurts of greatness, and you could see the talent, and it was the long game. And we've said maybe for this year, just this year alone, not for the next 5 years, but just this year alone, maybe Nick Pivetta is more valuable to the team than Roki Sasaki would have been.
In 2025, yeah, we can have that conversation throughout the year. We'll see how they pitch. It's a good point. All right, on the other side, is there anyone in professional sports this year having a better year than this guy? We'll explain coming up next, Jon and Jim.
This update is brought to you by the San Diego Seals. San Diego State takes on UNLV tonight, their final road game of the regular season. 8 p.m. tip time, 7 p.m. pregame. Listen right here on San Diego Sports 760. NBA news of the day. Kyrie Irving tore his ACL last night. The Mavericks, he's out for the rest of the year and most of next year as well. Shams is also reporting the Mavs will likely shut down Anthony Davis for the rest of the season. NFL news of the day. The New York Jets released Devontae Adams. Moving over to the Padres, split squad action today. Nick Pivetta made his spring debut against the Giants, going 2 2/3, allowing no runs, striking out 4. And in the other game against the Cubs, Matt Waldron gave up 4 runs in 2 2/3 innings. Padres tied the Giants and then lost 16-1 to the Cubs. Friday Night Lights, box lacrosse style. Friday, March 7th at 7:30 p.m. The Seals take on the Vancouver Warriors for Stick Up for a Cure night. Don't miss the action. Plus, the first 2,000 fans grab a Seals beach towel. Tickets at sealslax.com.
All right, Mark Ziegler will join us coming up at 5:30. We do have a 4-pack of tickets to the Shamrock Music and Beer Festival to give away in the 4 o'clock hour. Now, Jim's had a good year. He's gotten married.
What have I done? I got married last year.
That's within the last year.
Oh,
He's had a good year.
Oh, yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought you meant like 2025.
So you've had a good year. But you know who's had a better year? Saquon Barkley.
Oh, yeah, that guy.
So he gets the richest deal in NFL history for a running back today. Well deserved if you watched this past season. This is the last year for Barkley. So he signs with the Eagles. That's a win. If you watch the Giants the last 5 years, that alone was a win.
Yes.
Okay. He goes for over 2,000 yards in the regular season. That's hard to do, even with 17 games. All right. He wins Offensive Player of the Year in the NFL. That's pretty good.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
He wins a Super Bowl. Also good.
That's very good.
And now he lands this extension, making him the highest paid running back in the history of the National Football League. He will get at least $41.2 million with incentives to give him a lot more than that as well. I don't know what you even say about Saquon Barkley, because I thought his time in New York, a lot of the discussion was, well, they drafted him 2nd overall. Mm-hmm. The team never won. He had flashes and glimpses. He also had injuries they had to deal with. And then he puts together this incredible year and has just fully burst onto the scene. And we'll see if there's any end in sight moving forward for Barkley.
Well, the Giants completely failed Saquon by drafting him 2nd. That's fine, but you better then draft and build a really good offensive line. Never did. And them sticking with Daniel Jones for as long as they did, disaster. And then it all crumbled and he went to a better situation. The one thing about Saquon that I would kind of be a little concerned about, maybe he, flips the script and, completely destroys the narrative, but his workload this year was that of a guy that you don't see that type of workload from many running backs these type of days. The last guy to do it was Christian McCaffrey in 2023. And then the following year, injuries and didn't play much and really missed the most of the season. That's the one thing with Saquon that I would worry about is the workload. Mm-hmm. And going into year 2 now with the Eagles, the Eagles are not a pass first team. They are a run first team, even though they have arguably 2 of the best wide receivers, in the league. They still want to run the football as much as they possibly can. So I'm like, okay, can Saquon hold up? Is he going to get injured? I don't think in his time in the Eagles uniform, you'll have every single year be like a 1,200-yard rushing year. You're going to have a down year from Saquon. And hopefully if you're the Eagles, it's not next year, but expecting him to put up another 2,000-yard season next year, probably unlikely, right?
No, I completely agree. I mean, he just turned 28. I do think he's a bit of a unicorn. He's had some highs and lows in there, but he's a special player, obviously. There's a reason he was drafted 2nd overall. Do you know how many times he touched the ball, just rushing attempts last year between regular season and postseason?
Over 400?
436.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Which is a massive number. He had 91 attempts in the postseason. That was in 4 games. I think your points are valid, and you never love to pay for past production. But then again, when you're winning Super Bowls in Philadelphia, and if you can even do anything comparable a couple of more times, it's probably worth it. I mean, this guy has become like the the chosen one. If he's out of Pennsylvania, Eastern Pennsylvania, he went to Penn State. He's playing for the Eagles. Like, if there's a guy you're going to reach for coming off a Super Bowl and coming off an MVP-like season, not the actual MVP, but an MVP-like season, people have said arguably the best season a running back has ever had in the history of the NFL. I get it, I guess is my point, coming off that year. But you're right. I mean, to replicate that, if he does that, if he ever replicates that again, that would be unbelievable.
Yeah, the likelihood of him having another year comparable or even better than this past year,
very low.
Yeah. It's not going to happen. Most
I agree.
I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So what I do think, though, is, the Eagles are one of the best run organizations. Howie Roseman has put together, probably one of the best, or if not the best, just overall rosters in the league.
Draft, develop.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of young talent on that team, and you see it. So when they make moves, you don't really question it. If it's the Browns or the Giants,
right,
the Jets, you're like, this is stupid. But if it's the Eagles, you're like, oh, it's smart. And so you're looking at this extension for Saquon, and you're like, oh, it's smart. So
you remember when they signed him from the Giants, when it wasn't like a universally celebrated deal. I think there were a lot of people say, oh, wow, Barkley to a good organization. Like that's pretty significant for the Eagles. But I don't think there were a lot of people saying, hey, the Eagles coming off last year where they lost like 4 or 5 and in the opening round of the postseason at Tampa. Like, I don't think there were a lot of people from day one like, this is it. This is the missing piece. They're now a Super Bowl favorite. They're going to win it all. That's how it turned out.
Yeah.
But this wasn't trading for Patrick Mahomes this offseason is my point. Like, it wasn't, when that move happened, it wasn't like the biggest sports story of the year. Saquon Barkley to the Eagles, right? It was a big story.
Right, because he wasn't considered the best running back in the league.
Right.
He wasn't considered, I don't even think, the second best running back in the league.
I agree. And he was on an awful team. So what did we know he was going to truly be worth when he had been performing to some extent, but for like one of the worst teams in the NFL?
The thing with Saquon is his MO was he was injury prone.
Yes.
And eventually he was going to get injured. He has all the talent in the world, but eventually he's going to get injured. And last year he completely flipped that upside down and didn't even, get close to injured and played the entire season. And, maybe should have won the MVP, honestly. Like,
remember, he didn't even play the 17th game.
I know.
I've forgotten about that.
Right.
And listen to this. In 14 games of the Giants the year prior, 14 games, so not the full season, but he played a lot. 14 games, he ran for 962 yards. This year, in 16 games, he ran for over 2,000 yards and then had some massive moments.
Well, it's nice to have,
you're
a
right.
good offensive line and a good offensive coordinator and a confident
and they can run the
quarterback.
football. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, again, I was a little surprised to see today they basically doubled down on him because they had just given him this past offseason a 3-year deal. They had just given him more money than the Giants. And now for the other running backs around football, good for them. Because this thing has reset it, right? What was the highest paid running back? Because this wasn't close, right? To get over 20 a year.
I think it was Christian McCaffrey.
How much do you think he was per year?
It was like in the 15 to 20 range.
15 to 20. Because this is now, I'm curious, because if it was 15 and now he's getting over 20, that's a big reset of the market. If McCaffrey was 15 and Barkley goes to 2021, that's a big bump for running backs. But yeah, maybe McCaffrey was closer to 20. What is the McCaffrey deal in general? Terms, length?
It's a good question. I could look this up. Who are the highest paid running backs in the league right now? That would be, let me just do this here. It's actually Jonathan Taylor was at 14 million AAV. Christian McCaffrey was actually, wait, hold on. No, sorry. McCaffrey's number one. I was looked different. So Jonathan Taylor was number 2. Christian McCaffrey is number 1 at 19 per year.
All right. So he goes by that, but he doesn't maybe blow by that from 19 to what, 2021 is where Barkley is.
So let's see here. Yeah. McCaffrey signed a new deal with the Niners, extended him through 2027 with the AAV at 19 per year.
So he's through 2027 season, you said?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Barkley's through the 2028 season, by the way.
Right. So
now.
he eclipsed Barkley. Barkley eclipsed McCaffrey.
Sure.
As the highest paid running back in the league.
And how old is McCaffrey? He's not Barkley's 28. Is McCaffrey what, a year older, maybe 29?
Around the same age.
Yeah, around the same.
Same age.
Yeah. All right. Interesting. Again, I've always thought, I'm actually glad to see the return of the tailback because I feel like for a decade we've heard, oh, you can't draft them high and they don't have great value and you can't pay them like you pay other positions. And then you watch the way Philadelphia plays football and all they do is run the ball. And they just won a Super Bowl. And I watched the way San Francisco plays football when they're really good. And I saw McCaffrey 2 years ago and how good they were.
So does this help Ashton Genty's chance of getting drafted in the top 15?
That's a great call. I don't see why it wouldn't. I don't see why. I don't see why that position has been so devalued. When I see teams like San Francisco under Kyle Shanahan, I see teams like Philadelphia under Nick Sirianni, and I understand you can win at a high level running the football. Yeah, I don't know. It feels like we've gotten so pass happy, where even a team like Kansas City's quote unquote pass happy. And you look at their passing yards last year, and they got to the Super Bowl without being one of the top 3 or 5 passing teams in the NFL.
But here's the thing. I feel like the running back position is only like you have to only valued high if you have a good offensive line.
Okay, I see what you're taking a lot of teams out of the equation.
Yeah, like if you put Saquon,
no, you're right.
Give me the worst team in the NFL.
Well, the Giants is a good example.
Okay.
One of the worst.
Giants, right? You put Saquon back on the Giants, he's not rushing for 2,000 yards.
You're right.
So it's not going to work. But you put Saquon on the Eagles, right? That's going to work.
Yeah. No, that's a good point.
So you have to have a good offensive line in order for that running back to truly shine and show his value.
That's a good point. Like it takes a full investment. It's not just that player. It takes the players up front.
Right. So if Ashton Genty gets drafted wherever he goes, that team, I hope, has a decent to, good offensive line, because if you don't, probably not going to be valued as much.
No, you're right. You're right. All right. We have the wrap coming up at 4 p.m. Mark Ziegler will join us at 5:30. We'll get into tonight for San Diego State against UNLV. I want to get into that on the other side. What's on the line for SDSU tonight? Their second to last regular season game of the year in Vegas against UNLV with, I guess, revenge on their minds after losing earlier this year at Viejas Arena. That's next on Jon and Jim. AM radio keeps vital voices accessible. Congress can secure its future, but we need your help. Text AM to 52886 now to support keeping AM radio in cars. Tell your member of Congress to pass legislation now and keep AM radio in cars. Standard message and data rates apply. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. Now, we are here until 6. Aztec pregame at 7. Mark Ziegler will join the show. Coming up at 5:30, we do have Shamrock Music and Beer Festival tickets to give away in the 4 o'clock hour. So, Jim, what is on the line tonight? How would you answer this question? What is on the line tonight for San Diego State at the Thomas and Mack against UNLV?
What's on the line?
Yeah. How would you answer
that? Well, John, what's on the line tonight is either a win or a loss.
Okay. Is revenge well, that's not on the line, but like, okay.
On the mind?
Yeah, both. Like, okay, what can you do here tonight? I think you can you're not punching a ticket to the NCAA tournament with a win, right? But you're getting closer to punching a ticket to the NCAA tournament. Would you agree?
Yes. You don't want to lose on Saturday on senior night, though.
If you don't. Oh, no, you don't. And you don't want to lose to UNLV twice in the same season.
Yeah. So there's a little bit of revenge
right
tonight. There is one step closer to making the NCAA tournament on the line.
Right.
And there's one step closer to finishing off your season very, very strong with potentially if you win tonight and then you win on Saturday. If that happens, then you will have finished your season 22 and what? 22 and 9. What's the record?
The record right now is 20-7.
Oh, 27. So they're 22. They'd be 22 and 7, finishing off a season where you had no horrendous losses on your resume. Your best win of the year is against Houston, which is a top 3 team in the country. Also have a really nice win against Creighton. You also have a really nice win on the road against Boise.
That's their only home loss to anyone this year is San Diego State. Boise's only home loss is SDSU.
Really? Okay. Yeah. So that's good.
Yep.
You would have liked to have had a win against Utah State, but you don't. You do have a win against New Mexico, which is nice. And if they were to finish this thing off, like I said, you would have gone 6-0, 8-0 against all the bad teams in your conference.
Right. So that they have been able to do that. That's kind of incredible because we said from day one, can you beat Fresno, Air Force, Wyoming, San Jose State twice each? Can you win home road against those 4?
Yeah.
That was the starting point. Guess what? They did it. It was not easy. Air Force
so far,
in overtime.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm not. I know
so far.
I know UNLV is not at the bottom of the league.
Yeah, they're not at the bottom of the league,
but still.
But they've already lost to them.
I know. But
so they haven't avoided that.
Okay, you're right.
But the 8 games they needed to win, I'm telling you, the bubble bursting losses would have been Air Force, Fresno, San Jose. I'm missing someone.
Wyoming,
right? And it was not easy to win those 8 games. If you watched, they came back from 17, 18 down in some of those games. They won in overtime at Air Force. Here's the other thing on the line: seeding in the Mountain West tournament. What seed is San Diego State going to be? Are they going to be a 1 seed? It's actually still on the line. They have not. Really? They can still get a share of the regular season title. They need 2 wins and help, but they could be the 2, 3, 4, or 5 seed. So they could be basically in any game in the quarterfinals of the Mountain West tournament, which you can hear right here next week on San Diego Sports 760. So seeding is on the line. And I just think that while you feel good about your NCAA tournament resume right now, to your point, you got to get at least one of these with Vegas tonight and Nevada senior night Saturday, right? You're playing well, everything's going well, but you got to make sure to finish off this regular season.
Yep. Yeah, that's why these games are still very important. It just would be nice and tidy to finish off the year. Like we said, 2 games ago, you finished off the year 4-0, you feel very confident. Yeah. And with the outside chance to win a share of the regular season title.
Yeah, you get a share. Unlikely, but possible.
Unlikely, but man, dude, that Houston win has turned out to be
like gold.
Yeah.
So did you
watch a golden ticket
last night? They beat Kansas.
Yeah.
I mean, Houston went 19-1. I mean, in the Big 12, or whatever they are, 18-1 right now in the Big 12. Since San Diego State beat Houston, which was like a lifetime ago, it was Thanksgiving.
Dude, wow.
They beat them in Thanksgiving. Houston has lost 1 time since then. So it's like it's the gift that keeps on giving. San Diego State's one of like 3 teams to score 70 points off Houston this year. Think about that. They never allow 70 points. The Aztecs did in overtime.
Now, did that Houston team, when they played them, were they missing anybody?
No one.
Okay.
They just didn't really put it together until that moment. They started 4-3. They've lost 1 since.
That's crazy.
So, sometimes that happens in college basketball. Now, some people would say that the Aztecs playing better early than they have been late, with the Creighton win, the Houston win.
Yeah.
I would say, listen, you've been without Reese Waters. You got a young team. It was always going to be hard to be consistent with a young team. Now you're without Magoon Guath. Here's the update, by the way, from Mark Ziegler, who will join us at 5:30.
Yeah.
So Guath is rehabbing. He did travel to Las Vegas. Dutcher classified him, according to Ziegler, as doubtful for tonight. And then he's quoted Dutcher's by saying this: "When we get back, he'll be seen by our medical crew. We'll see where he's progressed to. I think Saturday against Nevada will still be a bit of a long shot. I don't want to say never, but hopefully with steady progress, he'll be available for the conference tournament. That would be my guess, but we don't know for sure until he sees the doctors." So unlikely tonight. I'd be shocked. Maybe outside chance for Saturday when Jim makes his debut. And then hopefully for the Mountain West tournament, which is a week from Thursday.
And it will be, I think he won't suit up for this team until at least their second game of the Mountain West Conference tournament.
Why do you say it like that as opposed to the first?
Because they play back-to-back days potentially if they keep winning. And so I think coming off an injury, playing a back-to-back for Magoon isn't in the cards.
So he could still play that in the quarterfinal and then not play in the semifinal. Because what if you don't play him in the quarterfinal and you lose? Then all of a sudden he hasn't played in all that time and you're in the NCAA tournament. Don't you want to shake off that rust, Jim?
Yes, you do. But I still think, and I believe this team could still win their quarterfinal game without him.
Oh, they could. I mean, they absolutely could win the Mountain West Championship without him, truthfully.
And he would be under a minutes restriction for sure.
Yeah. I think they want to get him on the floor before Selection Sunday.
I do too.
And you do too, you're saying. Yeah. Just because I feel like it assures the selection committee's minds that he's available.
Right. Because that would help the selection committee say, okay, one of their better players is healthy and ready to go. So because of that, we gotta get them in there.
Aztecs, Rebels tonight. San Diego State's had so much success over the years in Vegas. Looking to continue that tonight. 8:00 with Ted Leitner on the call from the Thomas and Mack. Pregame coverage will begin at 7 p.m. Me and Fletch right here on San Diego Sports 760. All right, in the 4:00 hour, we will get to the wrap. Also coming up in the 4:00 hour, your chance to win a 4-pack of tickets to the 29th annual Shamrock Music and Beer Festival. This is in the Gas Lamp. Not this Saturday, but next, Saturday, March 15th from 2 to 10. Great giveaway that will give away coming up in the 4:00 hour. And then again, Mark Ziegler is in Las Vegas. He will join us live at 5:30 to preview tonight's clash between San Diego State and UNLV. But we'll kick off hour 3 of Jon and Jim with the wrap. That'll come your way next right here on Jon and Jim.
This update's brought to you by the San Diego Seals. We'll start with the Aztecs. They take on UNLV tonight in Las Vegas, 8 p.m. tip time, 7 p.m. pregame. Listen right here on San Diego Sports 760. Padres split squad action today. Nick Pivetta made his spring debut against the Giants, going 2 2/3 scoreless innings, striking out 4. And in the other game, the Cubs versus the Cubs, Matt Waldron gave up 4 runs in 2 2/3 innings. And NBA news of the day: Kyrie Irving tore his ACL last night for the Mavericks. He's going to be out for the remainder of the season. Friday Night Lights, box lacrosse style, Friday, March 7th at 7:30 p.m. The Seals take on the Vancouver Warriors for Stick Up for a Cure night. Don't miss the action. Plus, the first 2,000 fans grab a Seals beach towel. Tickets at sealslax.com.
Previously on Jon and Jim.
Would you say from being there that like exceeded the hype, lived up to the hype? Like, what was the part of it that you'll most remember?
I just wanted to see a goal because the crowd, the entire night
was just waiting to erupt.
Dude, you felt it. You felt it.
And now you got to wait 2 weeks for the first ever home goal.
Now, time for Jon and Jim.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is hour 3 of Jon and Jim. Your chance to win a 4-pack of tickets to the Shamrock Music and Beer Festivals coming up this hour. And then the 5 o'clock hour, more giveaways. We've got tickets to see LCD Sound System. That's this weekend. Gallagher Square Petco Park on Saturday. And we have tickets to see Summer of Loud as well. And that is coming up soon, July 2nd. That's soon.
Not really, but okay.
I mean, this summer. It's not that fun. It'll be here before you know it. It'll be summer before we know it. We'll look up. Padres will be playing.
Only 4 months from now.
Yeah, just 4 months away. Exactly. That's a great point. Mark Ziegler will join us coming up at 5:30. But right now, let's get to this.
It's time for The Wrap, presented by Sombrero Mexican Food. Check out their website at sombreromex.com.
Is tonight a must-win game for the Aztecs?
Yeah, sure. I mean, if they lose, this is not like a bubble buster, but to have 2 losses on your resume against UNLV wouldn't look great. So yeah, win tonight. Got to win tonight.
Not a must-win. This would be a quad 2 loss. The home loss.
Not
to
awful. Not awful.
But I mean, you'd love to have it. I just feel like they could use the redemption. They played so well against UNLV. And tonight's the night where it would be nice to spoil UNLV's senior night because it is senior night for the Rebels. Now, I don't know if they're healthy. We talk about San Diego State being without Magoon Guath. UNLV is a really good starting point guard, Didon Thomas. He's been out for a couple of weeks. I don't know if he'll be back tonight or not, but good opportunity for the Aztecs. You know, just inching closer towards the NCAA tournament, pick up a win on the road tonight. Feel really good about the Aztecs' overall resume. Next question.
Does Saquon Barkley deserve to be the highest paid running back in NFL history?
Well, he deserves to be the highest paid running back in the NFL right now after what he did last year. The history of the sport, though, like you could argue there's been better running backs, right?
Right, but it's almost like a keeping up with the Joneses question. Right. Because, there's been quarterbacks that have been pretty good, too. They haven't touched what Tua Tagovailoa makes right now.
Or even like Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Joe Montana never got a Trevor Lawrence contract.
Right. What are Montana's career earnings?
Right. Probably not even close to
Is it like 1 year of Mahomes?
Maybe.
I'm so curious, actually. Career earnings for Joe Montana.
Like Daniel Jones, I think, probably made more money in his career than Joe Montana.
He earned $25 million.
Okay, so Daniel Jones would make more money
in a half season.
Yeah, exactly.
$25 million.
Thank God for endorsements if you're the Montana family.
Right? Yeah, he made a lot in endorsements. Yeah.
And say if he made that much, he wouldn't be doing Skechers commercials today.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. What was the question?
Does Saquon deserve to be the highest paid running back in NFL history?
I think coming off the year he had, yes.
Yeah.
Now, again, that doesn't mean it's going to be completely fruitful for the Eagles and they're going to get every penny out of that deal. But he earned it based on his performance in 2024. So, and I don't even, to your point, I don't even know if he'll be the best running back in the NFL next year. But I think this past year, he was the best running back in the NFL.
He's earned it. The only thing that you're worried about is with running backs after years like this, usually they take a dip.
Yeah.
Now, if the dip is 1,300 yards instead of 2,000, still a pretty damn good season.
Right.
But for what Saquon did this year, you're kind of asking them like, hey, next year you got to get around 1,500 yards rushing, my guy.
How many career touchdowns do you think Saquon Barkley has?
I'm gonna say 52.
48.
Okay.
Because again, they vulture them away in Philadelphia.
Oh yeah,
with the way they run,
Hurts.
and in New York they weren't that good. He had 9. No, that's not right. He had 13 rushing touchdowns, which is still a crazy low number for that year.
All of Jalen Hurts' rushing touchdowns need to be put in a separate category. If they're tush-push touchdowns,
you get half.
They don't count.
Right.
But if they're actual,
gets outside the pocket and runs 19 yards for the score,
that counts.
Yeah, I agree.
Or even like a 5-yard run.
Yeah, exactly. But from the half-yard line, how many of his touchdowns were from the 1-yard line?
Right. They're just like
10?
I love. There's a video out there of Jalen Hurts and all his rushing touchdowns, or majority of them, and they're all just him falling over the offensive line.
Ridiculous.
All falling over the offensive line. They're like, this is not. What are we doing?
I know. Next question.
Should Mavs GM Nico Harrison get fired this offseason?
I don't see how you can come back from this.
Why did you say why off season?
Well, because
as opposed to season,
there's only like 25 games left, so you might as well just see this thing through this year and then go a different course. Is this going to turn out to be one of the, if not the worst trades in NBA history?
I think it's a curse type trade
Yeah.
where you could argue that it's like that. I'm not saying it's Babe Ruth. That's probably going too far.
Right.
But it's a curse type trade where you're asking for.
I mean, they traded Babe Ruth to the Yankees and they traded Luka to the Lakers. It's kind of the same thing.
Well, we'll see what happens on the other side for the Mavericks, but I don't know how you get it. I don't know how you could spin this positively at any point during Luka's career.
No, this has gone from bad
Really
to
bad.
worse to get rid of everybody.
Yeah, I agree.
And the problem is it's not just Nico Harrison. It's the new owners of the Mavs. They, from reports, are kind of, the driving force behind all the stuff that's happened here. And on top of it, everything, they recently just raised season ticket prices.
9%. But how about this? Let's say you do make just clean house wholesale change, right? It doesn't change what happened.
No, it doesn't change.
You could make some great hires moving forward. You got a lot of work to do to go find the best player in the NBA.
And it doesn't change the fact that you now have owners in charge that I'm not going to say that they wanted this to happen, but they weren't against it.
Right.
So they had to sign off on this Luka trade.
Well, if ownership signed off and isn't against it, does that mean that he could be back?
Luka?
No, not Luka. The GM could be back. If ownership basically, I don't. How else could you? Like, everyone's putting all the blunt of the blame on the GM, which I completely get. He's public facing, like he's the face of the organization, but I feel like maybe more of this is on ownership.
Yes.
What ownership group would allow this?
It's the ownership group. When Mark Cuban, sold the team to these guys, it was kind of like reported like, hey, this is kind of weird. Could this be the start of them trying to move the franchise? Like, because they're a bunch of guys from Vegas, right? I think.
Yeah, but Vegas is going to be expansion. It's not. And Dallas is a massive market. And the last 20 years were good to the Dallas Mavericks under Mark Cuban.
It's a dumpster fire there. It's a disaster. Obviously, no one likes to see injuries, but
no, that was just insult to injury.
And I don't think it's karma, but it is the basketball gods saying, look, you effed up. And this is what you guys get as a franchise. The player that you traded for, who's supposed to put you over the top, yeah, he's injury prone, so he's going to get an injury.
Yeah.
And then Kyrie, now de facto your best player, the guy that's going to help you tread water, yeah, by the way, he's going to miss the rest of the season and probably most of next season as well.
Talk about a fall from grace. They were in the NBA Finals last June. And now it's like, you can't even spell NBA Finals for the Dallas Mavericks. Next question.
No.
Where should Hard Knocks turn now that Hard Knocks Carolina has been canceled?
So what happened here? It's an about face. They said yes, then no to it. Who said no?
Carolina did.
Carolina.
University.
Oh, shocker.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because saw that one coming from a mile away. Bill Belichick not wanting to do Hard Knocks.
Right.
Hard Knocks, it's just not interesting anymore.
They've done it all.
Like, when Hard Knocks first started, it was this, got to talk about it every week. And there were some years where the main thing that, sports shows in the country maybe opened with was like, what happened this week on Hard Knocks?
Right.
But now, I I'm just not interested, because what happens is Hard Knocks and the teams get to control what content goes out. So it's not like it's interesting, juicy content. The teams get to see the film and they decide what goes out and what doesn't go out.
Well, then how did all that Giants stuff get out on Barkley? Did they sign off on that, or was that before?
Had to have signed off on it.
Man, they can't look worse than they looked at Hard Knocks. What'd you have, Brent?
I was gonna say, would you rather they just kind of stick with this pivot and just pick another collegiate team opposed to picking another college team?
Would you say just go do Dion?
You know what? Maybe.
I mean, just because.
You know what I like, and Netflix does this. It's they do like the follow the quarterbacks around for the year.
Yeah,
they follow
the receivers.
They follow the receivers around. I think Hard Knocks needs to pivot, because what they're doing, it's not working anymore. So
what would you do then? Are you talking NFL? Would you do something similar? Just go find 3 to 5 faces of the league and follow them around?
Yeah, something like that.
I just wonder if that's even original enough anymore. If Netflix is already producing that.
I know.
The NFL, there should be real quality content that HBO should be able to do even now. I'm with your point. Like, okay, maybe it's gotten stale or teams are signing off, so it's not as juicy content as it was. But we're talking about the NFL. Like, come on. They should be able to come up with something that resonates. Like you said, at one point, that was like the water cooler of the week. Was you'd come in Monday and be like, man, did you see Hard Knocks?
Yeah.
And those days are long gone now.
Now it's just whatever. I think Netflix has kind of taken over the follow players around type of thing, especially with the NFL, right? Quarterbacks, wide receivers. I think they do a fantastic job with Full Swing, the golf show. That to me it makes golf like relatable to a lot more people. And I think they do a great job with that. I just think Hard Knocks has become stale because, and it's no disrespect to these guys, but nobody wants to watch a Hard Knocks show about a bunch of nobody's trying to make a roster.
Right. Because they've done it.
They've done it before.
What do you got?
If they don't do Dion in Colorado,
right?
What about Texas? Because they got Arch Manning.
I think it's interesting. Yeah, I do. I think the thing with the NFL, though, is it's such broad appeal. When I'm HBO and I want people watching in Seattle and Philadelphia and San Diego and Omaha, like, it's got to be big. The NFL is huge, right? Everyone is watching. College football is big, but, like, you know what I mean? Like, is it really going to resonate if it's not Belichick or Dion or, like, the NFL is so big that it's hard to compare any college property to any NFL team. I think that's probably fair to say.
I want them to follow around just like the entirety of the NFL,
the whole league, and just like do the story as it plays out. Like in training camp.
So every year, obviously there's big stories like last year, trades.
Yeah, exactly. I got you.
I want them to do the behind the scenes stuff with those types of things. I want to see reactions from other teams being like, oh wow, they just traded for Patrick Mahomes. You know what I mean? Like, I want to see that type of stuff.
I would like to see it in season, like as the storylines develop, like, oh, this receiver's holding out and we're a week into the season.
Like, can you do like I talked about Full Swing. Can you do a Hard Knocks Full Swing type of thing where you're following the entire league around, and when big stories and big news things happen, you have the reactions from the teams inside, the front offices, because I want to see that real reactions.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know where they're going to go. Truthfully, I don't know.
Like, it just, again, the days of compelling, last man on the roster trying to make the club.
We've seen that story.
It just doesn't hit anymore. I'm sorry. It just doesn't.
No, I agree. All right. Later this hour, your chance to win a 4-pack of tickets to the Shamrock Music and Beer Festival. Mark Ziegler from Las Vegas will join us at 5:30 to get us ready for San Diego State and UNLV tonight at 8. And on the other side, our biggest takeaway from a pair of Padres games in the Cactus League earlier today. That's next on Jon and Jim. right, so there is an all-new iHeartRadio app, and the reason to download it is simple. Like, if you download the app right now, you can listen to Jon and Jim. Just put San Diego Sports 760 in your presets. Maybe you want to hear Ted Leitner. His final calls as the voice of the Aztecs basketball team are this month, potentially. You want to hear Ted tonight at 8 p.m.? Download the iHeartRadio app. Put San Diego Sports 760 in your presets. Put Jon and Jim in your presets, and you can listen to the show on demand. But it's the all-new iHeartRadio app. It's available to you. Live play-by-play of San Diego FC, San Diego State football and basketball, and more. Plus, Jon and Jim weekdays from 2 to 6 p.m.
Yeah, we're still in the competition in this building.
That's right.
To be the number one preset for you all out there. And we need your help. So download the iHeartRadio app. And the only person on the planet that doesn't have this is Jon. So you're going to be okay.
Can we, we need to preface it. I have the app.
No, but you don't have the updated app.
Why is it?
How about you delete the app and then re-upload it?
I did. I'll do it again.
When's the last time you updated your phone?
2000s. This decade. This century.
That might be a problem.
I don't know. This is a modern phone.
It's the iPhone, what, 14, 13?
3.
iPhone 3? Oh, no,
I don't know. I will try deleting the app and re-downloading it. For whatever reason, I don't have the presets. I'm jealous of the presets.
I know. Look how easy this thing is.
I'm jealous.
So I just go to the iHeartRadio app. All right.
Yeah.
There we go. Opens the iHeartRadio app. And then top of the screen is my presets. I got San Diego Sports 760. I got Jon and Jim. And then right down here, if you want, you can just, find your presets. Very easy. You can switch between your favorite stations, your favorite shows, your favorite podcasts, click of a button. Yeah. And we need your help out there to make us the number one preset in all of iHeart San Diego. So download the app, put us in your presets, San Diego Sports 760, and the Jon and Jim podcast page, and you're ready to go.
I just deleted the app.
Good.
Okay. And I'm gonna turn off my phone and then re-add the app at the break.
Good for you.
Okay, so today, we touched on this earlier. The Padres lose a game 16-1 in the Cactus League. Now, they played twice. It was a split squad game. They were on the road, so that's their B team, right, against the Cubs. All right, whatever. And then in the other game, the split squad game at home, they tie. Like, whatever that even means, but it happens in the Cactus League. It was 1-1. They had a chance to win the game in the ninth inning, and they didn't, so the game was a tie. But the real takeaway today is Nick Pivetta, who comes over late in the offseason, makes his Padres debut. He strikes out the side in the first inning. He ends up going 2 2/3 scoreless innings with 4 strikeouts. And he is an important piece. When you think about the quiet offseason, and there wasn't a lot of movement, there wasn't a lot of splashy or sexy signings, but Nick Pivetta is one of these guys. Again, he's not going to be seen as Roki Sasaki. We spent 200 days on Roki, or 100 days. We didn't spend 100 days on Nick Pivetta, but Pavetta's impact could be felt hopefully here in 2025.
I think Nick Pivetta this year could be more impactful than Roki Sasaki would have been with the Padres just this season. I think this is the exact type of pitcher and player that this team needed. Now, did they get a left fielder? No. Did they get a good catcher? No. Did they get bench pieces? Yeah, they got some bench pieces that might turn out to be serviceable, right? Do they have an everyday DH? No. But the biggest issue with the team and the biggest question mark was, after King, Cease, and Darvish, what is your rotation going to look like? And we all know how important pitching is. Once again, this past postseason, pitching, they didn't have enough of it. And it came to bite them in the ass. So pitching every day of the week. If you're asking me, what would you want to add to this team? It's pitching. And getting Nick Pivetta kind of changes your outlook a little bit here. Maybe it changes your outlook a lot.
Right.
Because it solidifies your rotation. It gives you a top 4 that, if healthy, every 5th day, you feel pretty good about your chances. So Nick Pivetta turning out in the last moments of the offseason, signing a very odd deal, but very team friendly deal.
Yeah.
Could turn out to be, I'm not going to say the missing piece, but hell, he could turn out to be a very, very valuable piece of this team.
Yeah. Like, my 2 cents on Pivetta is it makes me feel better about the 5th starter, because now that you have a 4th starter, I can live with
this combination, because like you said earlier, there's a lot of teams that don't have 4 quality starters. The Padres, we'd like to think heading into the year do, which means the 5th is almost, it's kind of funny how baseball is now. It's almost like a luxury. But I think with the Ruben Niebla, when you have some options, and again, from a sexy perspective, whatever, maybe they're not names. It's true. Is Matt Waldron a name? No. Is Stephen Kolek a name? But you're not worried about names. Like, can you get production? Can this group with Brito and Vasquez and others combine to just be effective for 30 plus starts? And I think the answer is probably yes. I think it's probably yes. And again, with the other 4 starters, you're not asking that 5th spot to be so good. You're just asking it to be serviceable now that you have 4 competent starters.
Now, what I will say is, if one of these 4 starters goes down for a long period of time, then we're right back to where he started.
Yeah, I agree.
And we're right back to, the depth of this rotation is going to be an issue potentially. Because I can tell you right now, seeing Kolek and Brito and Vasquez and Waldron out there 2 times a week, I don't really like that.
Right. No, you're right. I mean, if you lose one of your top 4, and how do you even plan for it? I mean, you plan for it with depth, but they don't have the money to just add.
Right.
Like they're just not going to be in that position. Like you look at the Dodgers, there's 6, 7, 8 guys that they have the depth, right, to get through an injury. They dealt with it a year ago. I don't know if the Padres have it. I guess they'll deal with it if it happens.
Now, to their credit, last year, they really only had 2 starters for a majority of the season. Darvish missed a bunch of time for personal issues and reasons, and Musgrove was hurt a lot last year.
Mm-hmm. They didn't even throw 100 innings.
The only 2 guys that really were the stable in their rotation were King and Cease.
Right.
And they still won 93 games. So if you made the postseason last year and won 93 games with 2 starters, not you know what I mean?
Yeah.
2 starters making majority of their starts all season long. And then now this year, you're going to put in a Yu Darvish, hopefully for the full season, and Nick Pivetta for hopefully a full season. You just added 2 legitimate starters to your rotation. I think it's easy to say that this rotation could be better than last year's. And last year's team, guy threw a no-hitter and King had a sub-3 ERA and they won 93 games.
Yeah, exactly. All right. On the other side, we've touched on this over the last couple of weeks. The MLB rights deal, now that ESPN has backed out after the 2025 season, we have an update to that story on the other side. Plus, this hour, your chance to win a 4-pack of tickets to the Shamrock Music and Beer Festival. And Mark Ziegler from the UT will join us from Las Vegas to preview San Diego State and UNLV at 5:30. This is Jon and Jim.
All right, this update's brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. San Diego State takes on UNLV tonight in their final road game of the regular season. 8 p.m. tip, 7 p.m. pregame. Listen right here on San Diego Sports 760. Padres split squad action today. Nick Pivetta making his spring debut for the Padres against the Giants, going 2 2/3, allowing no runs and striking out 4. In the other split squad game against the Cubs, Matt Waldron gave up 4 runs in 2 2/3 innings. In the NBA news of the day, Kyrie Irving tore his ACL last night for the Mavericks. He's going to be out for the remainder of the year. Daylight savings time is here to bring 1 less hour of sleep. The 5 Hour Energy team has your time change solution. Limited edition 1 hour energy shots, a tiny version of the shot you love, designed to help you conquer the time change. For more information, visit 5hourenergy.com/DST.
All right, Jon and Jim back with you. Mark Ziegler at 5:30. He will preview San Diego State UNLV tonight from Las Vegas at 8. A game you can hear right here on San Diego Sports 760 with Ted Leitner on the call. And in 10 minutes, we're going to tell you how you can win a 4-pack of tickets to the Shamrock Music and Beer Festival on Saturday, March 15th, downtown. So I don't know if you saw this story. You know, I get into the weeds on like the rights deals, right? That's kind of...
Yes, I know.
Like you're not overly concerned about where MLB games are going to be in 2026. Maybe you are.
I'm a little concerned, but it's not like the thing I think about every single day.
I think about it when I wake up. So did you see this report? So remember, ESPN was paying Major League Baseball for that Sunday Night Baseball package $550 million. They got Sunday Night Baseball, they got the Home Run Derby, and they got the wild card round. That's what ESPN was paying $550 million for. Sunday Night Baseball, Home Run Derby, wild card round. You know what ESPN offered Major League Baseball for that package moving forward? Same package. They were paying $550. What do you think ESPN wanted to pay moving forward for that package?
Half of that.
Less.
Less than half?
They wanted to pay $200 million for a $550 million package they owned. Why? Because they felt as if they were being undercut by the deals that they had signed with Roku and Apple. Those deals were worth nothing. Like Major League Baseball had signed a deal with Roku for $10 million a year, which you're like $10 million a year. That's $300,000 per team. It makes no sense.
Right.
And then they did that deal with Apple, and I forget the terms. It was either 80 or 90 million a year. And ESPN's like, well, okay, we have a better package, but you're signing deals for 80 million and 10 million. Yeah, yes, ESPN has a bigger package. Mm-hmm. But is it that much bigger? I mean, is it 5 times a bigger package that ESPN had than Apple?
Well, ESPN doesn't value baseball anymore. They got rid of Baseball Tonight. They have no baseball coverage on their station. All their talking head shows never talk about baseball unless there's a controversy. You never see it on SportsCenter anymore unless like they just talk briefly about it, but it's quickly moved on to like NFL or NBA or whatever. And Sunday Night Baseball is irrelevant because of the crew they put together and how they packaged the Sunday Night Baseball broadcast. I mean, ESPN doesn't value baseball at all. They just don't.
Well, okay, maybe they don't value it the same way they previously did, but isn't that just a reflection of the marketplace?
It's a reflection of the sport.
That's what I'm saying. So in 1989, the way we consume baseball, I'm talking about people.
Yeah,
Fox was different.
CB or NBC and
well, it's different. Like in 1989, we consume baseball differently than the way we do it in 2025. Well, the NFL in 1989, it's only gotten bigger. Mm-hmm. Where Major League Baseball has only become more localized and regionalized since 1990. Yeah. Let's say. So I think they believe it has value, but not the same value as what they were paying. And I don't really know how MLB, like if ESPN was giving you $550 and they're offering $200, and that's now public knowledge, who's going to go to MLB and be like, oh, we'll give you $550? Like it's not worth $550 according to the person that held it.
Well, that's because ESPN is pissed. And they're going to undercut Major League Baseball.
Maybe.
And they're going to put that number out there to make it more difficult for baseball to go and find a deal. Like both parties are pissed. And I get it from both parties. I really do. I get it from ESPN's perspective and I get it from baseball's perspective.
Listen to this. Okay, how much do you think ESPN pays the NHL?
Remember they got him back a few years ago.
Well, considering, I'm going to say,
I don't know what the package is. It may include the Stanley Cup.
I don't know if it does, but it includes a lot. And the NHL has become more of a talking point.
Definitely this year.
On ESPN.
Yep. So what do you think they pay for the NHL?
I don't know, $400 million.
Bingo.
Really?
400 on the nose.
Okay.
Look at you. But remember, they wanted to give MLB 200. So they want to pay the NHL twice as much as they want to pay Major League Baseball. Again, different packages. I don't know what it's involved. How about this? UFC. And this didn't include all of it, maybe not the paper. I don't know what it included, but they were paying UFC $300 million. ESPN. So they want to pay UFC more money than Major League Baseball. How about this? Spanish Soccer League La Liga. They give $175 million per year to. They want to give Major League Baseball the same amount of money as La Liga.
Dude.
So that kind of tells you, like you said, kind of where they prioritize or where it is in the pecking order for ESPN. They're giving the same amount of money to La Liga.
Baseball is just not a national sport anymore. It's not the national pastime that people want to think it is.
That basically confirms that.
It's the regional pastime.
Right.
It's the single market path. Like the only places that care about the Royals are in Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with San Diego. People only care about the Padres here, right? We're not coming on the air and talking about what happened in the Yankees game last night.
Yep, not typically.
Texas, Houston, they only care about the Astros. Like,
right.
It's just for whenever it flipped and whenever that sport became just super regional and got away from the national spotlight, they have not done a good job of trying to make sure that their sport stays in the national spotlight. And that's a lot to do with baseball and Manfred and how they have marketed their sport and all that. I mean, the World Series this year should have had 30 million viewers every game, and it didn't.
Right. It was the Yankees against the Dodgers, and it didn't live up to expectations.
It had 15, I think.
Yeah, now, again, it wasn't the greatest series in the world.
No.
It wasn't the most compelling.
If it went to a game 7, you would have gotten 25 to 30.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's sad to see baseball kind of just by a lot of these, ESPN and national outlets be like, yeah, your sport's boring and nobody cares about it unless you're in that market.
Do you think that there's someone out there, whether it's like the Netflix of the world or Apple TV or Peacock or whomever, NBC, right, that is going to give MLB that amount of money? Or is now that that's out there,
cat's out of the bag,
and now that it's been devalued by ESPN, does that mean it's devalued just in general?
I don't see how. I mean, in negotiations, you're gonna be like, hey guys, look,
no,
this is the number that was there. Like, we're not doing that,
right?
So this is gonna hurt their negotiations. I'd be surprised if any other platform gives them $500 million, and they're probably going to have to settle somewhere
for less.
I would just go to Apple TV. I would just do that because the quality there is great. And I think that if you're Apple TV, if you built a sports brand with MLS, Major League Baseball, like, that's pretty good.
That is good.
And I would go there.
Yeah, I do wonder, again, this idea of Sunday Night Baseball, which used to be this, appointment setting type event where you go to your television to watch it back in the day. Of course, that's not the case anymore. And also, you're up against the NFL.
Yeah.
And you're up against a lot, even with Apple. Like, we're talking about, Apple has this standalone Sunday Night Soccer now with MLS. It's just again, everything has changed. And Major League Baseball now, it's on you now to change with the times as well. You got to adapt. Mm-hmm. If Sunday Night Baseball was a thing in 1990 and it's not in 2025, it's on you to figure out why that's the case.
Yep.
And how to adapt to it. So, yeah, I mean, I tend to agree with you that they're not going to get that kind of money. I think they'll have suitors. They'll definitely, there's value in it. I think Major League Baseball will end up somewhere, obviously. They're still on Fox, right? They're still on Apple. But
because you know what baseball is to a good amount of people, not everybody, but a good amount of people, it's background noise. Because the season is so long.
Right.
Me and you, we consume every single game every day. We're not those people. Mm-hmm. We're the people that will watch baseball all the time. It's not background noise to us, but to a good amount of people, it's kind of background noise. Like, hey, just put baseball game on and whatever. Like you're not watching the game, you just have it on. Or like in a bar, you just put the baseball game on. No one's really sitting there watching it. It's just on television in a bar because it's sports.
Right. It's not crucial May 19th who wins the Giants Cubs game. It's not overly impactful.
No.
Yeah, a couple of decent brands, no doubt, but like it's not overly critical to watch the third inning of Giants Cubs.
Like what happens in the third week of June isn't like must watch television.
No, I agree.
For the national, for the public, for the regional, for Padres fans in San Diego, yeah, we're gonna be watching June 12th.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. But for the national audience, no one's sitting there wondering what's going on with the Padres on June 12th, other than Padres fans.
All right. Who wants tickets to the Shamrock Music and Beer Festival? This is 4 free tickets. Maybe you like music. Maybe you like beer. Maybe you like both. This is a 4-pack of free tickets to the Shamrock Music and Beer Festival. First 2 callers will be our contestants for trivia today. We call it Trainwreck Radio. Here's the number to call. 877-767-4760. This is Saturday, March 15th. So not this Saturday, but next. 2 to 10 in the Gas Lamp. Great event. The Shamrock Music and Beer Festival, 29th annual. Call right now if you want 4 free tickets. 877-767-4760. First 2 callers will be our contestants. Again, pick up the phone right now and call if you want a free 4-pack of tickets to the Shamrock Music and Beer Festival. The number to call is 877-767-4760. We'll give those tickets away next. Mark Ziegler joins us at 5:30. Call now. It's Jon and Jim. right, Jon and Jim back with you. Mark Ziegler will join us from the San Diego Union Tribune at 5:30. He's in Las Vegas, where San Diego State is as well. Tonight at 8 p.m., San Diego State, UNLV. Ted Leitner will be on the call. Our pregame coverage. Me and Fletch will begin at 7 p.m. San Diego State then goes back to Vegas next week for the Mountain West Tournament. So a couple of trips to Vegas, including tonight to wrap up their road regular season. It's the last road game of the year. They'll be back in Vegas for neutral games next week.
Oh, that must be nice.
It's gone pretty quick this year.
It's gone very quick.
College basketball tends to do that.
Yeah, it feels like just yesterday they were opening up their season.
Do you remember who they opened their season against, Jim? I would basically give you $100 million because there's no way you have any clue. I'm not saying I would give you $100 million, but
no, you would never give me $100 million. You wouldn't give me a
I'll give you $1. I'll give you $2. I'll give you two. I'll buy. What do you want?
You buying a Reese's?
Yeah,
Reese's
I'll buy it right now. If you know who they open their season against,
Fullerton.
Wrong. I'll give you $1 if you get your second guess right. No, don't look at that.
No,
don't look at that. Not in there anyway.
I don't know.
One of the biggest stories in college basketball this year.
Oh, is it UCSD?
That's correct, but you're not getting the $1 I gave
you.
You
No, you said
I gave you the hint.
You gave me a
Fine,
chance.
I'll give you $1.
Okay.
I don't have it on me.
Did they open their season against Fullerton maybe last year?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Okay.
I think Jonathan Rifkin.
That's why I remember it.
I think you're right.
Okay.
You almost walked away with $100 million.
I almost did.
And you ended up with $1.
I would have literally walked away. If someone came in this room right now and said, "Here you go, Jim," and they gave me
$100 million. Right.
I'm gone.
But why? What are you going to do?
What do you mean?
You get your $100 million. What are you going to do?
Go live life with $100 million.
It was for Fullerton last year.
Fullerton last year.
Yeah, I knew it was. I knew Fullerton was like Fullerton.
But again, if you had $100 million, so you're going to vacation for life?
Not for life, but I think I could live the rest of my life with $100 million.
Well, I know you could. You don't need any money.
No.
But maybe you like hanging out every day here on the radio, talking to San Diegans, talking sports, talking Cactus League.
It would be like, this job isn't even feels like a job at times because it's just we're talking sports, right?
Right.
So with $100 million in my pockets, it'd become even more of just like a hangout sesh with my bros and just talking sports.
That's true.
Not having to worry about anything.
All right. So it doesn't matter because nobody's giving you $100 million.
No, but if someone did give me $100 million,
then you can quit. I'm fine with that.
No, I wouldn't quit on you.
Perfect.
Like that.
All right. Mark Ziegler at 5:30. We have more giveaways coming up next hour. Right now, let's get to this.
All right, 3 questions, 2 contestants, 1 lifeline. Today's 2 contestants, we have Jay and we have Kevin. Jay, you called in first, so you have your choice of Jon or Jim. Who do you want to go with?
I'll go with Jim.
All right.
Jay and Jim.
Jay and Jim. Love it. Kevin, you get Jon, okay?
All right, got it.
All right, perfect. Brent, what is the question of the day?
All right, we've been talking a little bit about Kyrie and his blown, was it ACL or MCL? It was ACL, I think.
ACL, yeah.
Today, Kyrie is currently 12th among all active players in the NBA with over 18,000 career points. Today's question, can you name any of the other active players with more career points than Kyrie Irving?
All right. Kevin, you're up first. What's your first guess? You do have a lifeline if you want to use it.
LeBron.
LeBron James.
Did you think? He is.
Yeah. If he scores 1 point tonight, he will have 50,000 points in his career, playoffs and regular season combined.
What if he scores 2?
Colin was like I use the word a lot, glazing hard on LeBron
love that
today.
word.
Jay, you're up next. What's your first guess? You have a lifeline if you want to use it.
I'll go with Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant.
KD.
Good guess. Kevin, back to you. What is your second guess? You have a lifeline if you want to use it.
We'll go with Steph Curry.
Steph Curry on the list. There we go. Jay, what is your second guess? You do have a lifeline if you want to use it.
I'll go with James Harden.
James Harden on the list. There we go. Kevin, back to you. Final guess. You do have a lifeline if you want to use it. What do you got?
Let's go Dame time.
Dame Lillard.
Wow.
There we go. Jay, final guess to send this thing to overtime. What do you got? You also have a lifeline if you want to use it.
I'll go with Russell Westbrook.
Russell Westbrook on the
guys.
list. There we go. All right. That was a quick and tidy and easy 3 for 3 for both contestants. So
Really
now
was.
we are going to go to overtime. Brent, give us the rules of overtime and then the question of overtime.
All right, how overtime was going to work is I'm going to ask you another question. When I'm done asking the question, you're going to yell out the name of your partner today, either John or Jim. Don't yell out your name. Whoever yells out the name of their partner first, you're going to win the game by getting the question right, or you're going to lose the game by getting the question wrong. If you guys understand.
Yep.
All right, guys. Today's overtime question. Who do the Aztecs play tonight?
What?
Don't all answer at once.
John.
All right.
Okay, or
What
John.
do you got?
Kevin.
UNLV.
That is
UNLV.
correct for the win.
Wow.
He just needed 10 or 12 seconds to take it in. And then he reacted with the right answer.
Right.
And he's walking away with a 4-pack of tickets to the Shamrock Music and Beer Festival. So this is going to be a great list. These are the active scoring leaders in the NBA with more career points than Kyrie Irving. Who do we miss?
Well, LeBron is obviously number 1, then KD, then Harden, then Russell Westbrook, then Steph. 6 was DeMar DeRozan.
Okay.
7 was Chris Paul. 8 was Dame Lillard. 9 was Giannis. 10 was Anthony Davis. And 11 was Paul George.
Anyone on that list that surprises you? Or not on that list that surprises you? Top active scorers?
I would say maybe Giannis, but Giannis hasn't played for.
Wait, was he on that? Or
Was
not?
Giannis on the list?
Yeah.
Oh, he was.
He
Okay,
was.
never mind.
Yeah. Where's Klay Thompson on the list?
He's not
18th.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not terrible. Where would Kawhi Leonard be on the list?
29th.
What about Jokic?
Yeah, that's a good one.
21st.
What about Luka?
He's still really young.
I know, but still.
30s maybe?
Yeah, probably.
40th.
Okay. Who's 13th? Who's behind Kyrie Irving?
This is the biggest shock behind him. Brooke Lopez.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Is the 13th leading scorer among active players. Okay.
Okay.
I thought Kyrie might have more than 18,000 points.
Yeah, I know.
He's missed some time.
He's been hurt,
Yeah.
and he got suspended for that one portion
Didn't
of
he
the
miss
season.
a whole year? Did the
and-
COVID season? He didn't really play, right?
Right.
Yeah. All right. Well, how much longer does he have now off an ACL?
Dude, that's such a brutal injury
Yeah.
at this time of his career.
And a whole year now.
At the time of the season, it just sucks.
Yeah.
Man. Torn ACL. You want anything else though than a torn ACL?
Yeah, it's not great.
Brutal, man.
All right, Mark Ziegler will join us coming up at 5 p.m. Also, coming up at the 5 o'clock hour, we will give away tickets to see LCD Sound System at Gallagher Square Petco Park. That's this Saturday. And then we have a pair of tickets for Summer of Loud this July coming to Gallagher Square at Petco Park as well. So some concert giveaways for you in the 5 o'clock hour. Mark Ziegler from the UT at 5:30 gets us ready for San Diego State and UNLV. We are here until 6. Hour 4 of Jon and Jim comes your way next.
All right, this update is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. We'll start with the Aztecs tonight. They take on UNLV, their final road game of the regular season. 8 p.m. tip time, 7 p.m. pregame. Listen right here on your home of the Aztecs, San Diego Sports 760. NBA news of the day: Kyrie Irving tore his ACL last night for the Mavericks. He is out for the rest of the season. Padres split squad action today. Nick Pivetta making his spring training debut, going 2 2/3 innings, allowing no runs, striking out 4. In the other game against the Cubs, Matt Waldron gave up 4 runs in 2 2/3 innings. Daylight savings time is here to bring 1 less hour of sleep. Yay. The 5 Hour Energy team has your time change solution. Limited edition 1 hour energy shots, a tiny version of the shot you love, designed to help you conquer the time change. For more information, visit 5hourenergy.com/DST.
Previously on Jon and Jim.
Would you say from being there that like exceeded the hype, lived up to the hype? Like, what was the part of it that you'll most remember?
I just wanted to see a goal because the crowd, the entire night
was just waiting to erupt.
Dude, you felt it. You felt it.
And now you got to wait 2 weeks for the first ever home goal.
Now, time for Jon and Jim.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is the final hour of Jon and Jim, but we've got a lot of good programming in store for you tonight. Aztecs and UNLV at 8 p.m. Critical game for San Diego State. Ted Leitner on the call tonight, and we'll have pregame for you beginning at 7. Of course, postgame reaction as well. I had something for you, Jim. I really did. Mark Ziegler is going to join us at 5:30. I had something crucial for. I mean, it would have been
like earth-shattering.
It would have been radio gold.
Really?
Like people would have been talking about this for a while, but I forgot.
You had radio gold for me?
And now I forgot. But listen to this.
Okay.
You know the TV show Around the Horn? I mean, we all do.
Oh, yes. I know the story.
The story is it is coming to an end. Now, the final show will be May 23rd. So what month are we? So we got a couple of months. Final show will be May 23rd. This show debuted, Jim, November 4th, 2002. They've had 4,900 episodes of Around the Horn. It was kind of in that era of Pardon the Interruption, which is still in the air, obviously. A couple of those other, what else would be in that type of show over the years? There was another one that ESPN had.
Well, First Take.
First Take. Yeah, but these are a little, PTI and Around the Horn maybe were the precursors to shows like First Take.
Well, First Take, I think, started in the mid 2000s, like maybe closer to 2010-ish.
Okay.
But still, I remember it being around with Skip and Stephen A.
You're saying Around the Horn or First Take?
First Take.
Okay. But wasn't Skip on Around the Horn first? I think he was, man.
Maybe.
I think he was.
No, Skip was not.
He was not Around the Horn?
No, he was not.
I didn't realize that.
He was not.
Well, anyway, there's been nearly 5,000 episodes. Has it just run its course? Like it's just over and done with?
I like the format of Around the Horn. The problem is, like I'm watching it right now because it's on our television set here in studio.
Where?
Right there. That's Around the Horn.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Do you know who Courtney Cronin is?
So you're saying that the pundits, the people that they're talking to, like the Bill Plaschkes of the world, are now Courtney Cronin?
Correct.
Okay. So that's the issue?
The shows are only as good as the talent on the shows. First Take isn't First Take if Stephen A. Smith isn't there.
Right.
Right? Or PTI isn't PTI without Tony or Wilbon.
Right. That's a good point.
Okay. Around the Horn became popular because of who was on the show.
Like, for example, I'm looking at some of the names. J.A. Adonde, remember that?
Yes.
Bomani Jones.
Yep.
Mina Kimes.
Yep.
Woody Page, Bill Plaschke, Bob Ryan, Ramona Shelburne, Sarah Spain, Pablo Torre, Clinton Yates. And this is just some.
There's some good. Like, who is Harry Lyles Jr.?
I think he's Harry Lyles' son.
But he is on right now Around the Horn.
So that's your criticism of it today in 2025. It just doesn't resonate because some of these pundits just aren't as recognizable as they were, let's say, 5 or 10 years ago.
Yeah, and they also kind of buried this thing like
middle of the afternoon.
Doesn't really matter,
right?
So
I did like it, and I've always enjoyed PTI. Truthfully,
I like PTI as long as it's Tony and Wilbon.
Right. When they start getting to the guests, you're right. Or like the fill-ins.
Yeah.
It's not as good. That show's been on the air also for 25 years.
But the reason why it's been on the show forever, on the air forever, is because of Tony Kornheiser and Mike Wilbon.
Would you say PTI started it all? All the talking head format we've seen over the last 25 years, is that all because of PTI? I would say yes.
I think it's a huge part of it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it started it all.
I think so. Yeah. And then First Take became a thing.
And all these Fox programs over the last 10 years.
What's the guy's name that hosts Around the Horn?
Tony Reale?
Tony Reale.
Reale or whatever his name is.
He started on PTI.
Yeah,
as like their fact checker.
I remember that at the end. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. What do you got, Brent?
It wasn't ESPN, but remember Fox had the best damn sports show or whatever with Tom Arnold and John Sally and those guys. It was around the same time period, at least.
I remember that.
Yeah. That wasn't like a real debate show though. Like the debate show started, I think, with pardon your F.
Here's the thing. I think PTI took radio and put it on television.
Yeah, you're probably right.
And then that's actually an interesting thing. The evolution of sports talk radio is now on television. Because a lot of the back and forth shows that we've seen over the years.
Hell,
are radio with video. I mean, it's radio with video.
That's what we do.
I know, but I mean, it's been going on really for 25 years.
And that's where this medium has now gone to.
Yeah.
It's radio. And this is now turning into a completely different conversation, but like radio isn't just about radio anymore. It's got to be about everything. Podcasts, video podcasts, YouTube, Twitch, streaming, like turning a microphone on nowadays, like that just doesn't do it for people.
Yeah, I agree.
You need to have all of it. And there's a lot of people out there still like radio is a huge part and it's very important to everything because radio in your cars, everyone needs a radio in their car. But like
100%.
Consuming shows nowadays, like this one, like Jon and Jim, people don't just consume it through radio. They consume it through podcasts and radio and our YouTube stream, like Instagram
Twitter.
And X. Like
I had a listener just text me. This is a really good point that said the sports reporters started it all. That debate discussion, that was a little bit more, I would say, and I hate to put it this blunt, like it was a little more stale and a little more buttoned up than where we've gone over the last 30 years.
Right.
But even, I was a kid watching that show, or maybe even a teenager at times. I enjoyed it because I just liked the sports commentary. It was commentary on that week's sporting events, and you had writers and you had talking heads. And that's a good point. I think the sports reporters started it. Then you got to PTI, which was like an evolution of it. And now we are wherever we are with Stephen A. Smith.
Wherever we are.
I mean, it's to me, it's gone probably too far because the difference in television debate and radio debate, and I guess it depends on the show, is TV debate has to have sides. It's all so produced. It's like if Stephen A. is going to say this, then Woody Page, or who did Stephen A. work with for forever? Who's he working with?
Skip Bayless.
Skip Bayless has to say this. Like they wouldn't agree. Almost like with intent. They would tell them not to agree.
Right.
That to me is very forced. Maybe it works more for television than it does for radio.
And now every single show that is on FS1 and ESPN is all debate shows.
Right. Everyone.
It's almost like I love watching the Food Network.
Okay.
It's just,
do they debate?
No, but here's what I'm going to say is I love the Food Network. And before, like back in the day of the Food Network, it was a lot about like cooking shows teaching you how to cook, right?
Yeah.
Like the Emeril Lagasse's of the world. They were like, here's how you make food, you know? Now the Food Network has turned into a competition network, which everybody is doing competition food challenges, right? You got Guys Grocery Games. You got the Tournament of Champions. You have Beat Bobby Flay. Like you have all these cooking shows that are competitions.
So like the game showification of the Cooking Network has happened there.
Yes.
And we're saying on sports channels, it's been the talking headification. It's not a term, but yeah.
The debate.
Yeah, I mean, back in the day, we all remember this. If you're listening and you're older than 30, you would turn on ESPN. They would just show you Sports Center all day. I used to, honestly, it got to the point, and Brent remembers this, Jim does too. It would get to the point where I had all the lines. Like, remember, I would have watched Sports Center 7 times, and I knew exactly. I'm like, oh, Magic Kings highlights are coming up next. And I know what Stuart Scott's going to say about this slam coming from Shaq.
Yeah,
right. Like that. That's what it was. And now, I still see Sports Center as the flagship program for for ESPN? I do,
With
but
Scott Van Pelt.
it's turned to with Scott Van Pelt. But the truth is, you don't see SportsCenter that much anymore on ESPN.
You don't see it unless it's on like Sunday mornings or like a morning. Because the mornings now during the week are reserved for.
Well, what is it?
First
the
Take.
Greenberg Show or
No, not the Greenberg Show.
What's the Greenberg Show?
Oh wait, no, is it Get Up?
Yeah, Get Up.
Get Up.
Is that still on?
I think so. You have Get Up.
I have no idea.
First Take, then Pat McAfee, and then you have I think PTI. Then you have Around the Horn. Like those are the shows now during the week. There's no more SportsCenter. SportsCenter used to be like the show in the morning. Like maybe if it's like before everything on the East Coast.
I don't know.
But even then, a traditional old style of SportsCenter, they have that's like random hosts there too.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see the Linda Cones anymore, the Bucci Gras, the Scott Van Pelt's. Like you don't see the old school SportsCenter type things anymore. It's like really blah.
I think a lot of it goes to the simple fact that 30 years ago you relied on SportsCenter for highlights, and today you rely on your phone for highlights.
Oh, 100%.
So do you really need to go there to see
No.
Kings highlights tonight?
Nope.
You don't. Now, do you want the personality of Scott Van Pelt? Yeah, that's cut through. That's worked really well. But it's a good point. It's like the highlight that we grew up with, those highlights that we grew up with, and we all like kind of craved. We still crave them. We just happen to get them on TikTok and Instagram and Twitter.
And a lot of times they choose what they're going to put out there. You know what's crazy? I was just thinking about this.
Yeah.
So baseball, the representation of baseball on ESPN is very little. Like nobody talks about it on ESPN. You rarely see baseball highlights on ESPN, like at all. You have to go to Major League Baseball Network to get your baseball highlights now. On Scott's show, his Bad Beats segment, which is amazing, love it. You almost see more like random college football and college basketball bad beats than you do actual MLB highlights. Like, think about that.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah.
Like his Bad Beats segment is fantastic, but it is infinitely more popular than showing baseball highlights on ESPN. Think about that. That's
because
crazy.
I guess it just resonates with more because everyone kind of relates to a bad beat.
And everyone bets nowadays.
Yeah.
With all the sporting
and
apps,
it is just
betting
kind
apps.
of, it's very relatable. Like, are you serious? Like this team had a 9-point lead and didn't cover, being favored by 1.5. Like the Bad Beats segment is just like hilarious. Like, how did this unravel?
Yeah.
How did this play out?
Yeah.
All right. We're going to catch up with Mark Ziegler. He'll join us at 5:30 from Sin City, where he is getting ready for tonight, San Diego State and UNLV. Again, tip-off just after 8 p.m. tonight. Ted Leitner will be on the call. So, again, Mark Ziegler is going to join us coming up at 5:30. But on the other side, we're going to give away tickets to see LCD Sound System at Gallagher Square, Petco Park, Saturday, March 8th. For tickets and info, go to Ticketmaster.com. Again, coming up next, in the next handful of minutes, we'll give away LCD Sound System tickets. This is Gallagher Square, Petco Park, Saturday, March 8th. For tickets and info, you can go to Ticketmaster.com. Aztecs tonight at 8, pregame coverage at 7. Mark Ziegler will join us at 5:30. Don't go anywhere. Ticket giveaway coming up next. Jon and Jim. All right, the Aztecs back tonight on the road in Vegas, taking on UNLV. Pre-game at 7. Ted's got the call after 8 right here in your home of the Aztecs. San Diego Sports 760. Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. Mark Ziegler from the Union Tribune will join us at 5:30 for more on tonight's game. So you just told me something that Joel Sherman had, MLB reporter, on Michael King and what could be on the other side for King. So he's a free agent at the end of 2025. I think we're at the point where we all should accept the fact that this could be a swan song for both Michael King and Dylan Cease in a Padres uniform.
Yeah, I think so, which is very unfortunate how they haven't even had contract extension talks with Michael King is kind of mind-blowing to me. But hey, it is what it is. And while you have him, do everything you possibly can to win with him.
Right.
But Joel Sherman makes a good point. If Michael King has another year comparable or even better than his year last year, could he be could he become the highest paid pitcher on the free agent market next year?
Yeah, the most coveted free agent starting pitcher, if he replicates last year, yeah, the answer is probably yes. Because he'd be, 30?
Now,
roughly.
Dylan Cease is also out there as well.
Yeah, that's true, but it's going to be really probably dependent on what happens this year.
Right.
If King outpitches Cease this year, there's reasons to believe he gets the better deal.
Right.
And you could kind of argue that I'm not saying he outpitched him last year. Cease was 4th in the Cy Young, but they were comparable last year, right?
I kind of think he
outpitched him, yeah. So, and then he had that brilliant start, obviously, against Atlanta in the postseason.
Cease did throw a no-hitter, and at one point in time, Cease had like an 8-game stretch or something along those lines where he was
dominant
as you could be.
And you're right. But the thing with the no-hitter, and Cease has amazing stuff, but no-hitter's a no-hitter. I mean, you know what I mean? Not to poo-poo it.
It's a big accomplishment, John.
But there's a lot of randos.
Why are you poo-pooing it?
There's randos.
There is randos. But Cease is not a rando.
No, I know he's not, but I'm saying he's not getting a contract based on no hitters. My point.
I know.
That's my point.
But he does, even without the no hitter, you could say he has no hit stuff. You know,
he does. He's got great stuff. That's why he's going to get that rich contract.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. Maybe free agent deal 1 and 2 from a starting pitching perspective are Cease and King in some order next offseason.
Yeah.
And that is unlikely to include the Padres as bidders.
Right. And that's why I've always thought it was kind of ridiculous to trade off one of those pieces while you still have them under for the money that you do.
Mm-hmm.
You have 2 of the top pitchers on the market on your team. Go out and try to do everything you can to win right now.
Which I guess maybe it's a long way of them doing that.
Right.
Maybe that was not the plan.
Hopefully. I mean, there was a lot of smoke around trading those 2 players.
Well, I just wonder if they had these high return or these high asks for those players, which makes sense, right?
Yeah.
And then you don't get what you're asking for. You shoot for the moon and you don't get the moon in return. You say, you know what? If we can't get what we want, let's just try to win right now with these 2, which I completely understand.
I've always said Preller was never going to cross that line. If he didn't get what he was asking for, he was not going to just make a deal to make a deal.
Mm-hmm.
He asked for everything or close to it.
Right.
And these teams are like, yeah, no. So Preller said, okay, fine. We'll keep him.
Which, again, in the short term, this goes back to the Nick Pivetta, Roki Sasaki. It's like they might be set up pretty well for 2025, even with the quiet offseason. It's like Pivetta is here for now. He's a veteran pitcher. And then King and Cease, yeah, maybe they tried to move him, but at the end of the day, they're both here, and those guys are coming off good years. So, okay, are they lacking some depth? Are they lacking a splashy move this offseason? Yeah, but do they have enough returning to put themselves in a position to be a competent, quality playoff type roster in 2025? Yeah, they do. You know, despite the offseason, when you kind of wrap your arms around it, there's enough there to believe that they have a chance to compete, contend, whatever the word is. I think there's enough there in 2025 if they stay healthy.
Do you feel like this year is kind of not like a last hurrah, but does it feel like this might be their best chance to really actually get over that hump this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's their best chance since last year. You know what I'm saying? And probably their best chance moving forward. Yeah. I would say last year is their best chance, and they didn't do it. Like, I would think at the end of this year, we'll say that the Padres had a better chance of winning the World Series in 2024 than 25. I hope I'm wrong, but that I could see myself saying that in 6 months.
Right. But what I mean is like after this year, like last year, yes, you're right. That's probably their best chance since 98. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But the players they lost off of last year's team were important, but they weren't like what you're going to be losing for next year's team. Next year's team, you're losing Luis Ariz, you're losing Michael King, you're losing Dylan Cease. Those are huge huge pieces, dude.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, last year's team, you lost Jurickson Profar, big piece, no doubt about it. You lost Tanner Scott. He was a trade acquisition, half-year guy. Wasn't here for the full year, but still big piece to lose.
Mm-hmm.
I would argue that losing King Cease Ariz is more impactful than losing Tanner Scott and Jurickson Profar.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah.
And Kyle Higashioka.
That's a really good point. Yeah. So under that premise, and Preller's got an amazing way of like reloading and getting creative.
He does.
Keeping
Yeah.
the thing relevant.
Yep.
But we also have to remember that a year from now, Manny Machado's a year older. Did you know that? Like a year from now, Machado's going to be older.
Wait, what?
And a year from now, you'll still be 35. But
30.
That's the other thing. Like, yes, Cease, King, Ariz. Yeah. And Machado and Bogarts. They're not getting younger.
No.
So, like, it's easy to envision Machado having a better 2025 than 26 because it gets harder to put up the numbers as you age.
Unless you're LeBron James.
True. Who's 40 and he's playing like, according to Colin Cowherd, I heard it, I think today, he's playing like a 27-year-old.
Colin, bro.
He loves some LeBron.
Calm down, my guy. It's okay. We know
regular season.
We know you want to be in the clutch circle of trust, but like,
I think he is.
I think he is too.
All right. Mark Ziegler is in Las Vegas. Traveled out earlier today. He covers the Aztecs men's basketball beat for the Union Tribune. He will join us on the other side. Is there an update on Magoon Guath? Will the star for UNLV, Didon Thomas, play tonight? What do the Aztecs need to do down the stretch to get to the NCAA tournament? Mark Ziegler from Vegas will join us on the other side. Plus, we promised you tickets for LCD Sound System. The first caller is going. This is this Saturday. LCD Sound System at Gallagher Square, Petco Park. This Saturday. For tickets and info, go to Ticketmaster.com. First caller to 877-767-4760 has 2 free tickets to see LCD Sound System. Call right now, 877-767-4760. Mark Ziegler joins us next from Vegas.
All right, this update's brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. San Diego State takes on UNLV tonight in their final road test of the regular season. 8 p.m. tip time, 7 p.m. pregame. Listen right here in your home of the Aztecs, San Diego Sports 760. NBA news of the day, Kyrie Irving tore his ACL last night for the Mavericks. He is out the rest of the year. Shams is also reporting the Mavs will likely also shut down Anthony Davis. Good job, Nico Harrison. The Padres split squad action today. Nick Pivetta made his spring training debut against the Giants, going 2 2/3 scoreless innings, giving up no runs, striking out 4. And in the other game versus the Cubs, Matt Waldron gave up 4 runs in 2 2/3 innings. Daylight savings time is here to bring one less hour of sleep. The 5 Hour Energy team has your time change solution. Limited edition 1 hour energy shots, a tiny version of the shot you love, designed to help you conquer the time change. For more information, visit 5hourenergy.com/DST.
All right, we're going to connect with Mark Ziegler in Las Vegas momentarily. San Diego State, UNLV tonight at 8. Second to last regular season game for the Aztecs, final road game. They'll be back home Saturday to take on Nevada, where you'll have a chance to see Jim Russell in the building for the first time this year.
Well, that's not confirmed yet, is it?
Once Richard confirms it, we'll get you in.
Pretty please, Richard?
For senior night. All right, let's go to Vegas. Mark Ziegler is there. The Aztecs will play in about 2.5 hours. Again, a game you can hear right here on San Diego Sports 760. So, Mark, we always appreciate it here on Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. I know you wrote about this, but for our listeners, the expectation is no Magoon Guath tonight. Could we see him before the end of the regular season or not? And thanks for joining us. Oh, do we have Mark? Mark, you got me?
Oh, I'm here.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
No worries. So you don't expect that we see Magoon Guath tonight, right? Could we see him between now and the end of the regular season on Saturday or not? All right, let's try to connect with Mark again.
Not
the beauty
great
of live radio, Jim.
Yeah, not great cell phone service in Vegas, maybe.
I wonder what he was hearing. I always put the blame on us.
Correct. It's always our fault.
Because it definitely is.
Yes, always
our fault.
Yeah, the equipment, it's always our fault.
All right, we're going to connect with Mark again in a moment.
Yeah.
Do you agree with what he was saying there?
I like what he said.
Yeah.
The first part what was really spot on, and then the second part of his answer there really made me think.
Yeah.
I was like, wow,
that's a big part of it.
I didn't know that part about what you were telling me.
And that's a big thing moving forward, though.
It is a big thing going forward, what he said there.
Yeah, what he said there. We're going to talk about that for a long time.
I think we might have to extend our show tonight.
Back.
Like, we should just go from 6 all the way up to pregame.
I have no problem with that.
And then you can do pregame, and then we're good to go.
All right, let's connect with Mark, because we were having, again, anytime we have an audio issue, I always blame it on us. So, Mark, we appreciate you joining us from Las Vegas. We wanted to ask to start about Magoon Guath. The expectation is he'd be out tonight. Could he return before the end of the regular season? And thanks for joining.
Yeah, I mean, Brian Dutch has told me a couple times, I believe he will play this year. I think he'll join us sometime this year. He just doesn't know exactly when. I think it's getting closer. I give a slight chance to Saturday, a senior night against Nevada, but I think the more realistic and better bet is the conference tournament. So what's going to happen is I highly doubt he'll play tonight. He has an appointment with the medical team tomorrow. They're going to evaluate how he's been doing and the progress and whatever swelling is left, mobility, and then make a determination on what they think is a target, for him to play. So I think we'll know more tomorrow afternoon or Thursday.
We're very close to the finish line here tonight. UNLV Saturday senior night against Nevada. Do you think they've already done enough with their resume, regardless of what happens these final 2 games? Obviously, losing the final 2 games wouldn't help, but with the resume they have now, do you think it's pretty good enough to say, all right, this team's a tournament team?
I think if they win one of the last 2, it's enough. It would get a little sketchy if you lose 2. You could fall right onto the bubble, and then you're at the mercy of. And we've talked about this, the mercy of the bid stealers. If you have a couple leagues like the AAC or the ACC or even the Mountain West with a team like Colorado State that hops up and wins the conference tournament and starts knocking people off that bubble. you don't want to be in that position. You don't want to not control your destiny. So I think they win tonight or they win home on Saturday. I think they're in. Now the big question is if they can win both these, then not only are they in, but they're not going to be on the 11 line and not have to risk going to Dayton for a play-in game, which they never had to do. But you could fall into that with a loss here, possibly. But if they win both these, they're pretty solidly in, and I think there'll be a 9 seed. On that 8-9 line, which isn't ideal, but if not a 9, then a 10.
Mark Ziegler from the UT with us right now on Jon and Jim. So we discussed the Magoon Gwath injury. What about UNLV? Because D-Don Thomas or DJ Thomas, he's been out with a shoulder. Is the expectation that he's out for tonight and moving forward? Because what's interesting is since he's gone down, they've played at least some decent basketball, including a win over Nevada here recently.
Yeah, my understanding is he hasn't practiced in weeks, so he will not play tonight. The question would be could he come back for the conference tournament? And that could interest San Diego State, because if they end up on the 4 or 5, on the 3 line of the conference tournament, which is a real possibility if they win their last 2 and Boise State wins at home against Colorado State on Saturday, San Diego State would get the 3 seed and they would have to play the 6 seed, and the 6 seed is going to be UNLV. So, I could see him possibly, that's another, 10 days from now. I could see him possibly coming back for the conference tournament, but as of right now, he's not playing. And they have played some better basketball. They've kind of rallied a little bit. They've also, they've won, I think, 5 of the last 6, but they've all been against the bottom half of the conference. And the only team they played in the top half was Colorado State, and they lost at home. So, I guess take a little bit of that with a grain of salt, because this conference really has some very good teams and some very bad teams. But they haven't laid down without him out there, which is notable. And I think they'll be fired up for tonight.
Mark, what'd you make of Miles Byrd saying that he was either next year going to return to San Diego State or go pro, but he wasn't going to enter the transfer portal?
Yeah, he's a really loyal guy. He was a loyal guy last year, and made that known. He comes from an interesting background, not typical, with just average parents who might push their kid too much. Or his dad, Calvin Byrd, was a 5-star recruit. He went to Villanova, played a little bit in the NBA, but not a lot. Never kind of completely made that jump. But has and has been a college basketball coach at University of Pacific. And so he has a different perspective about what it takes, and the value of staying in a program for a number of years, and having that comfort and having coaches that you trust have your best interest at heart. And so I think he really believes that. I think his dad believes that. And so I don't think transferring is an option for him. And maybe it would be for another kid of his ability, but I think given his family background and just the way he was raised, it's not an option at all. And so I'm not really surprised, to answer your question, that he said that.
So now with Reese already committed for next year, Miles Byrd seemingly committed for next year, unless scouts tell him you're going to be a lottery pick. Does this help with other players potentially returning next year?
It does, in the sense that if you want to play on a really, really good team, you should come back. Now, you might not have the same role on this team that you would somewhere else. You might have a reduced role, but you'll be on a really good team. And so that, from that standpoint, yes, it helps. But I think everybody makes decisions in the portal for different reasons. Some make it for money, some make it for playing time, some make it for fit, some make it for location. And so, those guys coming back, I don't think really factor into some of those decisions. So we'll have to see how some of these other guys go. But it's a good start to have Reese and possibly Miles if he doesn't go pro. And I think Nick Boyd is pretty certain that he'll come back. I mean, he's always talked about this being a 2-year deal. He didn't want to move around. I think he's pretty committed to that. He seems pretty happy. But there's a lot more. This is an unusual team because it's a team where a lot of guys can come back. San Diego State hasn't had that in years and years and years. And so you have a lot more guys, the freshmen, Miles Heide, BJ Davis, some of the sophomores. There's 5 or 6 guys in there that we'll have to wait and see.
Mark Ziegler from the UT with us against San Diego State and UNLV coming up tonight on San Diego Sports 760 at 8 p.m. So to follow on that conversation, and you wrote about this, How are they positioned from an NIL perspective with this young team? I guess you could always have more. Will they ultimately be well situated in your mind or not once we get to the transfer portal opening?
Well, the Mace Foundation, which is the NIL collective for San Diego State basketball, has done an incredible job. I mean, it started very humbly, $350,000. They give everybody, $2,000 a month. Everybody was equal. And they've grown that to, they're in the low 2 millions right now. And they just launched a campaign yesterday where they found what they called a generous donor who has agreed to match up to $500,000, whatever they can raise here in the next month or so. And the whole idea is to retain this roster. It's less about, last year they did a campaign much later in April, and that was after those guys had left, Lamont Butler, Micah Parrish, Elijah Saunders, and it was about, okay, we got to go get guys to replace them. We need some more money to do that. This year it's just about retaining the roster. And so anything they get, I don't know that they'll get $500,000 that will be matched to make it another $1 million. But let's say they get, another $200,000 and they can get up in the $2.7 million range. That's incredible compared to what they started with 3 years ago. But it's still, when you compare it to the teams that they compete against, not in the Mountain West, but nationally, the type of teams that, if they want to go back to a Final Four, they're going to have to beat. Those schools are all 3.5 to 5 million. And so they're a little bit below that, but they're certainly in the ballpark. And with a roster as heavy on guys who can come back and who are talented, they're going to need every penny of that, I think.
No doubt about it. Mark, before you go, we had someone on the text line want us to ask you about just the season that UC San Diego has put together. Following the sport as long as you have and knowing how hard it is to get out of the Big West as an at-large, do they have an at-large resume in your opinion if they don't win the Big West tournament or not?
I don't think so. I mean, they've had an absolutely incredible season. Eric Olin is a great coach. Those players are so connected. They're so talented. They're a lot of Division II guys. They have a chip on their shoulder. They play together. They play hard. They're very old and very veteran. And they're doing things that, that school never even dreamed of happening. And it's already happening this year. And so they really should be commended. But when you start talking resumes, look, they didn't build a schedule to try to get an at-large berth. That was the furthest thing from their mind. They were just trying to prepare for the Big West season and maybe do well in the Big West and get ready for the Big West tournament and take their shot there. They did not play, I think it's ranked 241st nationally in sort of strength of schedule, non-conference. San Diego State is 7. And so all but 2 of their wins have come against quad 3 and quad 4. That's not the kind of resume that gets into the NCAA tournament. Last year you had Indiana State, who was 28 in the net, first team ever in the top 30 of the net not to make the tournament as an at-large, and they couldn't get in. And it had a very similar resume. And remember all the outcry for them.
Right.
And they were probably a little bit better than UCSD is. And so I don't see it happening. I guess anything is possible, but I still think they're going to have to win the conference tournament. And the other thing I would say to fans, enjoy this right now, but don't expect this, because the difference between a program and a good team, they have a very good team right now, but that university does not. They're so new at this. They have not put the resources in that are necessary to help sustain this. Can they keep Coach Eric Olin? Their 3 best players are all going to be gone. Are they be able to, do they have any kind of NIL to go get players to replace some of that caliber? And that school is going through huge financial issues, $200 million worth of financial issues right now. So it's not a real time where you want to go to the president and say, hey, or the chancellor and say, hey, could we get a couple extra million to help our basketball program? So it's going to be tough for them to keep this rolling, but it's great to see. And like I said, enjoy it.
Yeah, and good luck scheduling next year. If you see San Diego coming off this type of year, nobody's going to want to play you coming off a year like this. We'll see. Maybe San Diego State. I mean, San Diego State has definitely, they didn't need to play in La Jolla last year, and they did, and it was nearly costly. And then they didn't have to play them this year at Viejas, and that was nearly, quote-unquote, costly as well for SDSU. Mark, always appreciate it. Safe travels. We'll see you next weekend at Viejas, and thanks for joining us.
Yep, my pleasure.
All right, great stuff from Mark Ziegler of the UT. We'll take a timeout. Jim's back page coming up next. Jon and Jim. All right, Jonas coming up at 7 p.m. Me and Fletch with pregame coverage. San Diego State, UNLV. Ted Leitner on the call tonight from the Thomas and Mack, just off the Strip in Las Vegas, Nevada. He will have the call at 8 p.m. Jim is on his way to dinner tonight to celebrate his anniversary. He's got like 6 anniversaries.
6 anniversaries.
So the first of 6 will be celebrated tonight.
There's only 2.
Well, the second will be celebrated this weekend, maybe for Aztecs, Nevada senior night.
Yeah, the anniversary of me going to the first Aztec game this season.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. Are you hungry? I'm starving.
I'm hungry. Yeah, I'm hungry.
What time's dinner?
7:30, John.
7:30?
What?
I have never eaten that late as an adult, and I work until 6.
The only reason why it's at 7:30 is because I got to drive home and then get ready and then go to dinner, which is in Point Loma.
What do you mean get ready? Get ready?
Like take a quick shower, put on some new clothes.
Is there a camera I can look at?
Yeah, right there. It's right in front of you.
Okay. 7:30. I'm starving by 7:30.
Okay.
Aaron's starving at 7:30.
I know it's a problem. Aaron likes to go to bed at like 8. So
right, exactly, exactly. I know. All right, let's get to it. What do we miss? Not possible.
The iconic John Cena heel turn this past weekend. Well, Topps has now made a 1-of-1 collector's card of the moment when John Cena turned heel with The Rock, Travis Scott, and John Cena.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 1-of-1 triple autograph card, just like the triple autograph card from LeBron, Steph, and Katie from the Olympics.
So I get Rock, I get Cena's autograph, I get all 3 of them.
You get Travis Scott, you get Cena, and you get The Rock autographs. It's a 1-of-1, so collectors, good luck.
So how do I get it?
Well, how you get it, John, is you have to go to Topps, you buy the base set card, and it's like a luck of the draw. So you'll get packs, like Topps packs cards. You can buy 1 card for $12, or you can buy 20 cards for $170.
And do I get it if I buy the cards?
No, not guaranteed. It's like a golden ticket. Right. Like Willy Wonka golden ticket.
Just 1? You know, I kind of wish there were like 20.
Well, that's why they make only 1, so that people keep.
But then if I win it, it's worth
a lot.
All this money.
It's like the Paul Skeens card.
Yeah,
Paul
Skeens,
I know. It's like that's crazy.
The triple autograph USA card. So anyway, good luck out there. If you want to just buy 1 card, you can buy it for $12.
What if I won it?
I would tell you to give it to
Jones, and he would throw it against a wall.
I would say we're gonna sell it, and then we're gonna split. We're all gonna split the money.
We're not gonna do any of that. Okay.
I really don't understand why this show is not sponsored by Jimmy John's.
Yeah, because our name is Jon and Jim.
Right. Like, hey, Jimmy John's.
We could have a Johnny Jim sandwich.
Or a Jimmy John sandwich or a Johnny Jim sandwich.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
Well, today, John,
let's go over there and give them our business card.
Let's do it.
Because we do have business cards now. It's not a bad idea.
Yeah. The sandwich chain, Jimmy John's, is giving away $1 million worth of toasted subs today to celebrate a new product launch. The chain said it's offering this free food giveaway to show appreciation for customers' patience as it's perfected the new product.
Okay.
Quote, no one does sandwiches like Jimmy John's, and while we may be fashionably late to the toasted sandwich party, we've made sure they're worth the wait. The Jimmy John's brand marketer said today. The free sandwich offer is available nationwide via the chain's website or app using the promo code Toasted Tuesday.
Toasted Tuesday.
Yeah. So you still have a chance, because it's still Tuesday, to go to Jimmy John's and get a new toasted sub from Jimmy John's.
Okay. All right. Maybe tonight. Maybe before your dinner. Pick up a snack.
No, John, because that just defeats the whole purpose of going out to dinner, having a snack before dinner.
I know.
Like, you want to be hungry when you go to dinner?
You sound like my mother.
Okay. Starbucks, John, they got rid of a bunch of menu items.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
Probably because they're launching new spring menu items today. Here's the new list of spring menu items that launched today. The highlight is the iced cherry chai, a chai latte topped with cherry cream cold foam and a crunchy topping. Also featuring the popular lavender drinks, iced lavender cream oat milk matcha, the iced lavender latte, and a lavender crema frappuccino.
Okay. Available this spring.
Also, food items are the jalapeno chicken pocket. You can get that for a spring menu item.
Okay. Available now?
Available today, John. Today's the 4th.
I know what I was going to say to you an hour ago. You're like, oh, we have to turn the clocks. Boo. No, that's a big win. Getting the daylight later in the day.
No, I know, but losing an hour of sleep, like that part of it.
You don't have kids. You could just stay in the bed for as long as you want.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay.
Like if you don't have anything to do, you just stay there.
True that.
Right? If someone starts crying, Aaron, then you have to get up. But if nobody's crying, you just stay there and do whatever you want.
Bentley usually is the one's crying.
Oh, that's true. That is true.
He usually is sitting there staring at me like, let me out, human.
I need to eat. I need to go to the bathroom. Yeah. All right, Jim, enjoy your dinner. For our listeners, we've got Aztec pregame beginning at 7 p.m. Me and Fletch and Ted standing by for the 8 p.m. call tonight. Big one for the Aztecs in Vegas against UNLV. If you missed anything today, sportssc.com, iHeartRadio app, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, or Spotify. You can find us on social media at Jon and Jim. For Brent and Jim, I'm John. Aztec pregame at 7. This is San Diego Sports 760.
Okay.
Bye.